The new presentation.
Yeah.
Because David, he and I, we talked about law enforcement. It's been years and we
I don't know. That's what he was saying when you were talking about today. It's got all kind of trash. But but I know we're trash. No. Well, it comes from the dumpster. It could also be coming from neighborhoods trash. Because people put loose trash.
but he's
cans.
let him know what's going on.
And all that. I got one in my backyard. Oh, the alley? Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I know you guys got me on that one time.
What's going on, ladies? How you doing?
So Kevin, does this fall in other duties as a son?
Yes. This is how I started out originally, so it's kind of kept up.
Yeah.
Huh?
Whose house is that?
That's the one on Love and Jefferson. This is the story landmark. It's ours.
Yeah, no, it's been a long time.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah,
Can't take everything.
Right. Sure they had. Well, the family wants it. They had a first right of refusal. They want it back. Whether they do when they sell it, I don't know.
See, they had the Girl Scout hut over on Polk Street, and that was torn down.
Yeah, they was under
It
contract.
was under contract to stay in the city, as long as the rules needed it.
Nice.
So he's done a fiction and he just tore it down.
What is Trump's motto? Move fast and break things?
Hey, it works.
I don't know. Why are you laughing? ¿Qué estás comiendo? No, it's okay. Okay. For the meeting? Yes, some, yes, some. Aguardiente.
Remember the junk lady that used to live up on the hill?
I think that was before my time.
Well, we had to go up and clean up several times. She moved out there by me now.
Tam White's mom.
Well, I don't know.
No, I think it's
Fred Sandoval's daughter is.
she's crazy.
She's out by you now?
Yeah.
She hauls.
1, 2 o'clock in the
pallets.
morning, she's hauling stuff in front of my house.
Well, that's what you get for living in the county.
Ah.
No, live in the county, she
Right there,
doesn't
not
want
on
to have
the
yours.
You know, I got this sign that says this property is protected by Smith and Wesson. 3 nights out of the week, you can figure out which 3.
Roll the dice.
Mailbox, a mail retrieval zone. I don't know if we have a.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Go around the vehicle, they want to be able to pull up their dumb out here.
Did y'all figure everything out?
On what thing?
On the RFP?
How are you?
Yeah.
Better.
Better.
It was already starting out.
Yep. I saw.
Yeah.
Did you get with Crystal on some of those questions?
Well, they said, I've never seen.
Well, she may have been waiting to see what,
Well,
what you were going to talk about. What is the biggest issue? Are they,
Did you talk to
For about a week, I could tell.
Home sweet home.
they've never had one? Well, that's design primarily. Not always like
And still got it.
Not as bad as it was.
No.
Give you confidence and have coaching, and you get rid of that cough.
Okay.
This is brilliant. I don't care what it is.
He was probably like, what?
It's not too easy to get hooked on it, you can't get it.
Well, I think those are important because it's a safety issue. You know, weeds in someone's yard. No one's gonna die, probably. But some of those, if you can't get a fire truck, ambulance or something else, that's pretty serious. So I guess you could say to them, hey, we have an ordinance, you spend a lot of time on it. We're not enforcing that. Do you want that enforced? Or not? This is what we need to do. This is how much additional time or something.
How are you?
I don't know, is it,
I need a snort.
made it 2 hours?
Like 2 times and snorted.
That wasn't even close.
My teeth and my nose are hurting.
And I saw the other.
Doing makeup really makes it hurt. I guess because you move your face.
And I know because people say, oh,
I have a little caplets. I can just break them open.
and I always look at it, Jake Paul.
Unless he got
I've been hiding.
Richard.
I got better. Good. I need it. Thank you, doctors.
Yeah.
Chief, tips and crayons.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
That's
I like the color.
So now your office is gonna figure out how to write with them?
Are you on
Please don't put them on them up yet.
They do the paint by color on their computers and their units. Behind the fence at the police station. I never see him. I drive around a whole hour and not see one officer. Michael's behind me, but I never see him.
You want to?
No, I do. I do, I'm telling you. I set a clock. Okay, leave it at this time. I told him I was gonna break open my Tylenol. Pencils? If I get to just baby. The color changing.
Drug free. No, you don't.
Better now.
I get the.
the tag holder going?
I don't know, I get the pen in.
Yeah, now. No. Oh, no, I have
Good, dude.
very much so.
There's a lot of things. I think the biggest thing is just figuring out what's the issue with the compliance that is serious.
How was the search for?
Those like the little records.
I don't know, I just barely seen that it was posted. I gotta ask Veronica. Hopefully we get someone good.
You've got 4, maybe 5 applicants.
Yeah, and then everybody would use them. They were like the little cheater.
We got good applicants for everybody, sure.
I don't know, is this person?
Yep. Oh, sure, 3.
There you go. So the grand opening's tomorrow, correct? Or the groundbreaking?
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock.
It's been great weather everywhere you go.
You have that big party.
Actually, I didn't even take it, it's fine. I have a copy of this meeting, or I have a copy of the RFP, which runs it back.
Okay.
I just wanted to verify, they wanted to verify, as well as, it's not an either or.
The high's not interesting. They got the record. Somebody hit them. And they're
Legalities and like insurance and whatever.
They may just send it right to me.
I thought that she got it in the, because this is what we discussed last meeting.
And his boss had.
I think,
I haven't had time to, but I haven't got enough time to put up that any good. That's why the other RFP was messed up. I have not been able to look at that.
well, they didn't make it yours.
Yeah.
I think it should have been. Whatever, it's not bad. That's
That's exactly right. How you Gotta remember all the conversations I have. Oh, yeah, I was gonna never figure out who that was, so he'll hit me one of these days.
Before it started in the afternoon, then you can make in response to reference to one of your questions. Feel reminded us that we're not up to details of what we can say is it's not rated. So I can't give too many details last time about what we're going to say. But I have to private meetings to talk about. So you can take it over, take it on. File that one, have the file, I kind of forgot that. No, just transparent. You had a good question. And I try to put that in my seeing that here.
Ridiculous. The way that it is.
Right.
I said, we just said, I don't know.
So I don't think, because I don't think who that would be. I don't believe that's the right one, but it doesn't matter. Oh.
I didn't hear the central inversion. I have no idea. Just drop by, it'll make more sense. Okay.
Everything else is? So far.
Anyway, it'll be done.
How are you?
I told you.
Like I said, his insurance. If you have to pay that, maybe his insurance.
Morning. My nose. Y'all might have a copy of it.
Try not to. Whoa.
No. Dude, I called 3 times.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Oh, yeah, he told me,
Yeah, John Stones.
that isn't the name. He said John. It was. What did he tell me?
What you told me?
Huh?
I thought that's what he told me.
Well, maybe I misunderstood him because it wasn't Stokes, because I would have remembered Stokes, but it was a name I didn't know.
Maybe I just misunderstood too.
Are you in?
Yeah, because I told him. By the time I get to that one, that's the name he told me. Okay, I'm writing it down.
It's even funny because you can see my scar.
It was 120. Yes, they're supposed to, yes. I don't think but there's something.
And look at me.
And then, I think I think so. That's the way I understood it. I don't
That's my
And when we get to item number 2 in discussion, I think that's the then we will.
kind of flat first time there.
Reverting, I don't think that's taking, I don't think taking the action off the card.
Can you do that on your?
Sandbags she did really tight, and I was crazy about it. But Joe's pro last
Okay, well, that's why.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying like when you go.
She does.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, you know, I'll get it all runs together. Hey, it does, I do so often. Okay, is everybody about ready? Well, I'm waiting for him to just run it off.
In case I don't get to speak or anything, I don't know if this is just my ideas about the ATV thing. You know, if I don't say anything, at least I've said something. Privately, be careful when you get to the shouting. You what? Be careful when you get to the shouting. Yeah, I know.
Don't talk.
We're not. Really? What do you say? Really? Really?
Give it to him. Should get to him Sunday right before he gets home.
No.
Mr. Rouser.
Hey, Dave, you don't have to give us a 4-hour trip. Yeah. I can do a 3-hour.
segments as long as this.
No, they're longer.
I'm gonna steal
You
one.
think you're gonna go to lunch at 12? Then I'm one.
That's why they're always late to Pioneer.
Yep.
You don't have to worry, the medicines are out of the way. Methodist, Catholics, Church of Christ, everybody's gone. When we come in, everybody's
There's
And the Catholics have like 30 young meetings and a couple of,
Okay.
run around the village.
Y'all ready? There we go. I call this regular session of the Lovington City Commission to order. Shannon, roll call, please.
Mayor Roberts,
I'm here.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Here.
Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Bolt,
Here.
Commissioner White. Here.
All right. Before we go to our invocation, I was given information that a longtime resident of Lovington, Mr. John Stokes, who was 102, a veteran and involved in several projects within this city, passed away recently. Mr. Boydston brought this to my attention. So we're going to take just a moment, have a moment of silence in his honor, and then I'll lead on into the invocation. Bow with me. Father God, we just take this time to acknowledge the presence that you present in our lives every day. As we enjoyed our sunshine and warmer weather today, we reflected on less than a week ago whenever we were fighting the chill and the cold, and we realized that everything is in your guidance. We brave through the cold because we know that you will not give us more than we can handle. We enjoy the warmth because it's a presence that spring and new life is before us, and we welcome that. Father, I pray that you will be with this commission tonight. We invite you to be in this chamber to impart wisdom and to give us guidance in everything that we do, so that we may always have our community best interest before us. I pray that you will be with each person here as you hear and receive the words that come from this commission. May they be to the best ability, to our best ability, to serve our citizens of this area, and to continue to use us in helping our area get better every moment of every day. Father, we just ask that you help us use your wisdom and not just our own in all of these decisions. Through Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. You'll join us in the pledge now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. You may be seated.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
All right, a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. Shannon?
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for consideration of the minutes of February 10th, 2025.
And a motion and a second for the adoption of the minutes. Any corrections, additions, or discussion? Hearing none. Shannon?
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt.
Yes.
All right. Brings us to our commissioners and staff report. Ms. Shannon, do you have anything this evening?
No, sir.
Okay. Isabella, you?
No, sir.
All right. Chief, they might just hand you the baton. That's what they do every
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. City Manager, or Officer of Activity for the commission meeting of February 24th. We've hired 2 uncertified officers. Both have started, and they've started their field training. We've handed out most of the opioid checks to the nonprofit organizations, and we will be following up with them about August or September to see how the funds were spent. New patrol room project has been completed. You're more than welcome to come over and take a look at that. The police awning is almost ready to be put out to RFP, and also the remaining of our building funds is also about ready to be put out to RFP. We'll be ready to get that done. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, questions, Commissioner? Moving on. Hearing none, you're off the hook also. Fire Chief.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, so we have received one of our transport vans. We've got to get the radios and the cot head load system installed, and then it'll be ready for use. The remount and the second transport van will be delivered by serves, along with the old cabin chassis from the MS5 that we had remounted, and then that will go in the auction this coming spring. We have one open at this time, and we've got 4 to 5 applicants so far. We'll keep this open for the rest of the week, and then we will be doing the testing this weekend. We had our ISO inspection last Thursday. We won't have results for 3 to 4 months, so now it's just a waiting game. We've had about 4 working fires in the past few weeks, so all the new people are literally getting a trial by fire. I mean, they're getting thrown in, and they're getting a dose of what the fire department's about. So they've been doing good. We had a pipeline leak last Monday evening. There was a construction crew that was scraping a road, and their bucket hit the top of a poly line and just scraped the top of it until they put a leak in it. No injuries. We did evacuate 7 homes, and we were on scene for about 3 hours before residents were able to return back home. But it wasn't a burst. It was a leak that was caused. We have promoted 1 person to driver engineer due to the one that left, so we had to do a promotion. And other than that, I will stand for any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Bolt, sorry.
Yes. Skip, how many fires do you average per year, would you say?
Last year, I want to say we had like 250 fire calls, but actual working structures, I want to say we had about 10 last year. And when I say a working structure, I mean a fully involved structure.
Right. Now, with having that, and I don't want to say, I'm going to say small number, and how do you keep everybody, viable or ready to, as far as training, what do you guys do?
We do training. I mean, each person has to have, 191 hours of fire training every year. And in EMS, everybody has to continue doing CEs because we do 97% EMS. I mean.
Right. I know you do a lot. That's why I was asking on the fires.
We do training every shift. They do training. We keep documentation of their training. Of course, that's part of the ISO and everything. And they have a PT that they do. So if, say, we did the PT portion, say this month, they would do the combat. So that's a timed event, the combat challenge. And then 3 months later, they do their 1.5 mile run, their push-ups and sit-ups. 3 months from that date, they do the combat again, and then 3 months from that, they do the 1.5 mile. And everybody gets an hour of workout and PT every day. So they do physical fit and plus training.
Yeah, because if you deal with it every day, you're used to it.
And that's something that these guys are learning as well. There's a difference between being in shape and being in working shape. So, and that's one of those things that you just have to, they have to get used to. Manning a line all day is different than, manning a line for a couple hours is different than just being in running, and so they have to practice like you play.
I just want to make sure that our guys are safe.
That's
Number one, so,
yes, sir.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Chief, I'm going to ask, as you are aware, at our last, I believe it was the date of our last meeting, we received an email. Each one of us received it, and it was on, first of all, I want to commend you on your response. That was the thing that my response was, not knowing anything at the time. I said, if it was a life and danger situation, then, if it was anything other than that, I would expect them to be fully, in full PPE.
Yes, sir. 100%.
So, for the community, would you kind of go back over your response? And I'm just going to give a brief, for the ones that are present and listening. This was a picture of our fire marshal. I try to think of your correct title. Manning a hose and not being in full PPE.
Yes, sir.
So, kind of with that, go ahead and give your response.
So, Mr. Ritchie had just got through fighting fire and was on a line. He came, his bottle was empty, he got out of his SCBA, took his jacket off, and was in the, what we call rehab, in the rehab area. When the wind shifted, we had a crew in the structure that was fighting fire. When the wind shifted, it pushed fire behind our crew that was in the building, in the structure, and it was blowing towards our trucks. So Mr. Ritchie, who was the closest by in the rehab, grabbed the line and started fighting the fire, pushing it back away from our guys, so that, because at that point I had told our guys to clear the building, everybody out of the building, and Mr. Ritchie was protecting the truck and the people in the building so that they could exit. And of course, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I could give that picture to 1,000 people and they're all gonna have a different explanation, and that's pretty much what happened, and they happened to take that picture at that time.
I understand. A little bit more background is this email, this is for the ones that are present. This email came under the guise of Guy Fox. If you don't know who that is, then it's the, I'm sorry?
V is for
Yeah, Vendetta. For Vendetta. Anyway, back in Britain, he was going to blow up Parliament because of various things, and so it just stands for a concerned citizen, I guess is what you would say. I have no idea who presented it. I did respond to Mr. Fox in that I would follow up with it, and having done that, I read yours, and I responded in the email that this would only be, condoned if at that moment it was an emergency life and death situation. So I felt like your response handled that, Mr. Ritchie. I applaud you for taking the lead on that. I will simply state my opinion is that except in that particular situation, that there is no emergency that is greater than your self-preservation. So I'm not saying anything was wrong. I applaud you for what you did. I just always keep that in mind. Assess and I know this is your job. Assess the circumstance and make sure you're okay first. Kind of like the airplane, Put yours on first and then try to take care of everyone else. But anyway, I wanted to get that out there so that, we're being accused in a couple of different areas that we are not responding to public opinion, that we are not responding to emails that are being presented, and I want the public to know that we are certainly interested in situations, and we need to know the context, and we also need to look at them in what would we do in the same situations.
And to add to that, Mr. Ritchie is also a state instructor, so, I mean.
I understand.
So it was a split decision that I'm glad he made, because truthfully, my guys' lives in that building are at stake, and he knew he was in this, I mean, yeah, he was in some smoke, but.
I did use different breathing techniques while I was in the smoke. Things that I've been.
You didn't just suck up as much as you could.
I didn't go home and pass gas full of smoke.
Well, to be honest, I didn't know who was in the picture. I didn't know who were portraying because of the amount of smoke that was surrounding you.
Well, and there's no, Mr. Miranda asked me about it. He's like, is this even one of our employees? Because there's no markings that said Lovington Fire Department, but I'm gonna be transparent, and as soon as I seen it, I knew who it was, and I asked Mr. Ritchie, hey, what was going on in this picture, and he explained, because I happened to be on the other side of the structure at that time, and I was coming around the structure when that happened, so.
He did exactly what he needed to do to protect the fire.
Absolutely.
He got full fog in that nozzle, so he's good.
Right.
He's good.
I know.
Yeah, and I think a lot has to do with, I mean, there's no true protocol, because it's 1,000 avenues when you go fight a fire. You can go in either direction. And I remember me being a volunteer fire department. I stood inside a building waiting for them to call me out, and I stayed there. And they said, damn, you did what you were trained to do. I said, man, I'm glad the roof didn't come down on me, because that's when that old meat market burned down to the ground, and I was right there with fire. But I did what I was told to do, but they went in and got me. And I understand your situation, because a lot of times you got to gear down and gear back up, and it just, there's no real protocol to fighting fire, because it can go in 1,000 different ways. But you got to protect your people, and I support you 100%.
Well, there is protocol, and he was following protocol up until the point that the situation was worse than following a protocol.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And so in that situation, he had to assess what was worse, the loss of 3 or 4 firemen or putting on his gear, So in that situation, I don't know what I would have done. I'm not trained in that situation. So all I can say is that he saved the lives of people in the situation. Was it handled in our normal protocol? No. But the lives were saved. The situation was handled. We've tried to be open and honest about it to everyone we possibly can. This is not like he drove out there and he jumped out of the truck and that was the first thing he did. This was in the change of the situation. And I know in the oil and gas industry, we have times where situations change, but we have time to stop, refocus, and then address the problem. That situation, we don't have that time. And that's the difficult situation here. The picture is a horrifying picture. Here we have a seasoned veteran in what looks like a compromising position. We don't know what's on the other side of the hose, which was an even more compromised position. So, when you have all the information, then you can make that correct decision, and I think we've handled it the best way possible, and, I applaud the man, because I'm not gonna do that job. So, I don't like water, and I don't like heat. So, I got lots of problems. I don't like to have swimming pool, whatever. But, I think it's just a situation that we need to be open and honest about, and as our commissioner says, transparent, and, this is what happened, and we've handled the situation from every point that we can, and, there's times where we wish we didn't have to do those things, but sometimes that's what happens. So we'll deal with them as they come and move forward.
And that's why I was asking, as far as limited amount of firefighting throughout the year with structures, to make sure that our fire personnel are trained, that we know that when that comes, And that there may happen once in 1,000 times. You know, it's not every day that you're going to see that, but we have to be prepared. We have to prepare ourselves, train. I understand you can't train for everything because things do happen outside the scope. So, but that's why I asked. It's important that we make sure that we have the proper training.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add, we have, for the past 5 years, have had a fire academy where we do live burns. That way everyone in the department is introduced to the behavior, the smoke reading, and all that kind of stuff, just to help with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. We didn't talk about it last time. We literally had just received it. I didn't feel like that was the time. But I do want to let the citizens know we take everything serious here. And the whole thing is, you got to know the whole story. And if you look at that picture, you would say that's probably not correct, and they would be right under normal circumstances, but it was not normal, and I do thank you for follow-up. So, all right. Anything further before I move on? All right. Commissioner Bolt.
Thank everyone for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to come. Again, shop local, eat local, buy local. Keep putting that out there every week. A couple things. Drove through the cemeteries here last week, and cemeteries look nice. Trees are cut. Looks a lot better. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
I know tomorrow, I'm not going to elaborate too much because I imagine maybe city manager or Evelyn will have something to say, EDC director. We'll have a groundbreaking, a new project. Hope to see everyone out there. Look forward to it. So, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Tree.
Good.
Commissioner White.
Good.
Mr. Gaines.
I do. Hey, at the senior citizens, I guess there's a drive-through window or something,
Grab and go.
something like that. They're thinking about dismantling that?
We all got those letters. We have until budget time to, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
like
it's,
the guy told me, he says, I'd like to drive up there and get my stuff, but I don't
Yeah.
have pants on. So I'm
there's
like,
definitely two schools.
we need to really address this, because that's not another situation we need to go through, so.
That's both police.
Yeah, they're busy enough as it is, so we don't need,
So it's called grab and go.
yep, so.
Could be a whole new term of grab and go, you know?
Oh,
sorry.
We're falling down slowly.
Yes, okay.
The preacher may have to dig us out of this. So, other than that,
We
that
need
was
the
the only concern
sermon,
I had.
Dave.
Melissa.
I don't have anything to say. I have a couple of questions. Maybe. I'll try my best to answer.
City manager.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, at the March 24th meeting, I will present for your consideration an ordinance for an additional PPA with the EDC for $33,000 regarding the roadway improvements for economic development on North Main Street. Kevin, if we could put the...
I'm trying to, sir.
Okay. As I detailed in my monthly report to last week, the gross receipts tax number for December came in at $1,045,502.51, which compares to $909,000 for the previous month and to $857,000 for the same period last year. Our trailing 12-month GRT average is at $958,000 per month, and retail was again our largest single sector. Other than that, I have 2 discussion items and 1 action item, but I'd be happy to stand for any questions the Commission may have.
Okay, Commissioner. Well, I don't want to single just the fire chief out, so I'm going to address the other email that we've been receiving, and I want to get a little bit of transparency on that from the Avenue M. I'm trying to think of her name.
Cynthia Lazoya.
That's the one, yes.
I've referred those emails to to both Shannon and to the HR director and to the police chief. We're attempting to, through IPRA, obtain all the materials she's asking for. I know Veronica attempted to reach out to her and was unsuccessful, but we're going to process the IPRA request and provide those to her. Yes, sir.
She seems to be very passionate about it, so, even though I feel that she was,
Yeah, we did things the legal way.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Ball.
I have a few items in the action this evening. Other than that, they did start paving today, so we can open up Jefferson, so that way they can close Jackson. Was the intent of why they want to get, they're going to get up to Madison paved, so that way we can open Jefferson and then they'll close down Jackson intersection.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions for me?
Commissioner?
Don't forget the groundbreaking tomorrow
Oh, don't worry.
for Albertsons,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
All right.
You
we
can
will
pull
be
up
there.
on First Street, there'll be parking off the road there on First Street, so nobody's on Main Street having to be in traffic. We'll have plenty of parking there, and be able to walk right up into there.
Thank you. All right, council.
Mayor and Commissioners, I don't have anything new that you probably haven't been updated by the city manager on already recently. There's a couple comments I have on one of the discussion items and probably at least one of the action items. So I'll be happy to stand for any questions that you might have.
Okay. You're off the hook at this point.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, this brings us to our public comment time. At this time, if anyone in the audience has something they would like to address to the commissioners, please come to the podium. Please state your name, or you'll get stopped before you get going, and then address what you would like us to know, and try to keep it 3 minutes or so, and I'll open it up. Don't be shy if they are. Oh, Mr. Boyce.
Mayor, Commissioners, Tim Boydson. I have two questions for two people. One is my commissioner. That I have, the question I have is that they're starting to clear the property at the end of Q Street. And I was wondering what they're going to build there. I'm assuming houses. And if they are they low income or are they regular income houses? Commissioner White?
Hit you.
I have no idea because that's personal business. I just don't know any more than what I've seen on
Well, since it is
Facebook.
public and they have
Because they wouldn't pull any
broken
permits or
ground.
anything until they started building, so.
Well, I'm just asking if, what they're going to build. I've heard
I have no
rumors that they're going to build houses back there. And I went back there and they are clearing the whole property, all the way from Q to Dead Man's Curve and all the way to 13th
And
Street.
they totally have that right to do that.
I understand that. But I'm not speaking of myself only. I'm speaking of neighbors, because I know quite a few of them on in and around where I live. And they've asked me to come up here and ask you what they are, if they're going to build houses, if you know, are they going to build low-income houses? We hope they do not. Because that would lower, if they do, that would lower our property significantly.
I think Evelyn Hoagie, EDC Director Evelyn, can give you information after the meeting or currently, whatever mayor prefers.
You can reach out to me. I've got a little bit of information on
Oh,
it.
do you?
Yes, I can.
Okay. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks now since they've done that, and we were wondering. The other question I have relates to the police chief. That there's been, there has been a numerous amount of illegal parking in this town for cars. We do not live in England. They're parking on the left side of the, the wrong side of the road facing it. There are parking on corners, blocking the fire hydrant facing the wrong way.
Just call us when you see something like that, we'll address it immediately. And we'll continue.
I can call you all day long, because they do it. Not only are the adults doing it, it's coming down to high school kids doing it.
Turn in front of a fire hydrant, we can't get them to move it, we'll tow it.
And what about the ones parking that park on the left, on the wrong side of the road?
We're continuing to address it one at a time. They're doing it all over town.
Yeah, they are, and it's getting to be a very dangerous thing.
Yeah, all right.
You know, someone's going to get killed. You know, especially when they are parked on the wrong side of the road, they happily just pull out. And, and I know they don't do this in Mexico, because quite a few of them got Chihuahua plates on them. And I know they don't do it anymore,
Yeah.
So I thought I'd bring it up publicly now, since it's become a very big bad habit. Yeah, it's had it.
It's probably been like that forever, but yeah.
It has. But it's getting worse now.
We'll continue to address it. We'll get over there in your neighborhood and see what's going on as far as the fire hydrants, see if we can catch them over there.
And they're doing it in front of the high school, they're doing it, all over the place.
Yeah, if you see stuff like that, let us know.
Okay.
And I'll address it immediately.
All right, thank
You
you.
got my number, right?
Yes, I do. I got it on speed dial. I got everybody on speed dial. All right, Mayor, Commissioners, everybody, I thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Good evening.
Grants. Just wanted to give you an update on a couple of the capital outlay projects that are
Hang
going
on. I'm sorry, we didn't hear the first part, and I know they didn't hear it, so
Oh, Leslie Bolt grants.
thank you.
Had some questions about the lift station, where we were at on that project, so I wanted to give you an update on that. So, we have a capital outlay grant for $500,000 for the lift station. I just got notice that our single source request, which of course this is procurement law, has been posted on the General Services website for 30 days. There was no challenges, so that has gone up the ladder to the next step to DFA. So once we get approval of release of grant funds for that, we will place an order with Robert. We'll give him the green light to place an order with the supplier. We'll check with the engineer that did the drawings, make sure that we have all the components scheduled to come in, find a timeline, and then we'll either put it out for a bid to install that lift station, or we'll go through one of our cooperative purchasing agreements.
And this is the North Love Street lift station that you're concerned about, Leslie?
Also in your packet, there's a couple others that are coming up. There's an action item tonight on the library. Like Chief Clark said, the awnings were close to 100% on the drawings. That'll go out for invitation to bid within the next few weeks. That is to cover the police vehicles in their secured lot. We're also going to release that request for bid at the same time to complete the public safety building between the fire and the police side. So we'll get that completed. CBDG grant, the sidewalk project on 2nd Street. We're in process with that one to start the engineering drawings for that. We have not heard. We've gotten a request from Pettigrew, who was our only bidder for the engineer side. So we'll keep you updated on that. Brush truck's expected to come in May 1st.
He's hoping to run it by May 1st.
Okay, and we will definitely push that before the end of this fiscal year. According to our legislatures, they want that pushed. transport vans are coming in. We're looking at the next few weeks on that. There's a heavy equipment coming in. I believe it's another tractor. Is it a tractor?
Ditcher.
Ditcher. It's a ditcher. Is coming in also in the next few weeks. We're progressing on the outdoor structures at Chaparral Park. We got a delivery in yesterday, Sunday morning, for high wind anchors, and so we're going to be moving on to the next step. I also got an alert that we are eligible to apply again for funding for another phase of that project, so I'll keep you updated on that. We did have a citizen request to look into ADA compliant dock for fishing, so that may be something that we could potentially fit into part of the master redevelopment of Chaparral. I also can send all the commissioners the capital appropriations. I have a list of what's out, where they're at, and so on. So if you want that, just let me know. Does anyone have any questions on grants right now?
Where are we at as far as that generator? I know we were looking to get a generator.
Yes, so we were approved for that. We are in the process, so tried to go the sole source route on that because we do have a pretty solid supplier, and generators are really not a sole source. So we're going to go out for bid on that, and that'll be also in the next couple of weeks. We're trying to stagger the releases that we're making to give Melissa and I a little bit of breathing room in between, because they are usually 20 to 40 pages long, have all kinds of evaluations attached to them and reports, and we need to make sure our documentation stays in really good shape for any kind of future audits. So that's where we're at on that one.
Thank you.
Evelyn Holguin, Lovington EDC, last and hopefully final update after everyone's mentioned it. But just to remind you, groundbreaking tomorrow at 10 a.m. We've got shovels for all 5 commissioners. We have 10 representatives coming from United for the Albertsons family coming down. Everything's set to go. We should have great weather, which we've been checking every day because it changes every day. But it looks like we should be good to go. Invite everyone, if anyone has any questions, we will have light refreshments. We have coffee, charcuterie boards, that good stuff out there for that day. Tents were put up today. The 6x8 signage will just put there temporary. Once the groundbreaking is done, then it will be put by the road so the community can see what it's going to look like. Other than that, I hope to have everyone there tomorrow. Any questions?
How many years have EDC? How many years have EDC been working on this project?
About 4. In May, it will be 5. It's been 5.
I've been telling everybody 6, and that's what I know.
It's been close to, it's 4, in May it will be 5. We started it had a good traction for about 1.5 years. Then they went away for about 1 year, and then they came back, revisited, looked at different additional property. But in total, it's been about, it's going to hit 5 years.
Just on that location?
Just that location. Well, this location here, it's been about 2 years, that location. But prior, looking at other locations and potentially buying other sources out, it's been longer. But this location has been 2 years.
So what, we've heard numerous things, one way or the other. What's the intent on going in there? I understand the grocery store. Is there any other things that you can tell us?
Yes, so on the United side, United only purchased 8 acres. There's a 10-acre pad out there. United purchased 8 acres. On the 8 acres, you'll have the grocery store, which will have a bakery, pharmacy, drive-throughs, a sushi bar, florist. It's going to have wings, pizza, full service. We'll tell you, breaking news, everybody's sad, I'm included, we will not have a Starbucks. We did get notification of that, we will not have a Starbucks due to the fact that it's a small community, and if Starbucks is not doing well, then it's a United's responsibility to help the Starbucks. So they decide on rural communities they will not have Starbucks, but we do have the ability, which we've already made that contact. Starbucks, normally when they come and are looking at our area, they look at an anchor store, and the United Supermarkets is considered an anchor store. So with the additional 2 acres that are right next to it, we do have a letter of intent for Wendy's to go at the front, literally right next door to Family Dollar, and behind it we have a 10,000 square foot shopping center with an end cap. So we do have the ability to potentially put Starbucks at the end where they do have a drive-through. They will share a parking lot, they will share all the drive-throughs with Wendy's. We were just waiting for United to set a groundbreaking, but I do know, I've spoken to Eddie Valencia numerous times, that that one will actually be up and going prior to United being done. We were just waiting. They are splitting the cost for the entryways, and that's one of the reasons why it's been delayed. But other than that, that's all that's going to be going in there. We will be recruiting for the 4 additional spaces that they have. We will, starting in May, we will be able to go out and say, this is what we have, this is the availability. We have 10,000 square feet, but potentially you could have someone come in and say they want 3,000, and it kind of throws off the rest of the spaces. You could have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, until you fill the 10,000 square feet. But it is, they both. But I will tell you that the shopping center is not a priority right now. According to the owner, the guy that's going to build it, the priority right now is Wendy's. That will go first. And then once that is done, because he is footing the bill for that, once that is done, then we'll continue on to the shopping center.
Well, thank you for the clarity, because it's been thrown around this, that, everything, so.
They will have the fuel bay and the convenience store. Yeah, they will, and that will be a 24-hour convenience station. The community does have the ability to sign up for rewards, and when you do sign up for rewards, you'll end up getting about $1 off of your gas. The more you use it, But it's a very nice model. Everyone's excited. I also just want to reiterate that Patrick told me 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, that if I was able to land this in Lovington, that he would sack for a full month on Saturdays. And so I have already reached out to Patrick, and he has confirmed, so if you see him out there on Saturdays,
I'm there.
he will be sacking.
I'll make sure I go there on Saturdays.
Absolutely. We will wait in line.
And the hard items on the bottom.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna put the eggs on the bottom.
So just won't be surprised when you see Patrick out there, but I have already, thought I would forget about that, but I have not. So he will.
I was wondering what they were gonna do for Sackers.
Yeah, we got a free hand here, so.
First month's on me.
Yep.
Well,
So,
thank you for not forgetting about that.
yes, that's, I wrote that down. Not gonna forget that. State Representative Randy Pettigrew cannot make it, but he will be sending someone in his place to be, and to give a little feedback to the community. But other than that, everyone's excited. So looks like we'll be ready to go for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Hope to see everyone.
Good. Give them a minute. All right. I see no one standing. I'm gonna give you just a second. Oh, Mr. Rouser. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Hey, okay, so
3 hours.
Dave Rouser, 1401 West Avenue H. The reason for this is because last meeting, there was an item brought forth about pursuing ATVs and UTVs in city streets. This is not intended to cause argument, discussion right now. It's just I want to present my ideas. I've written them out. This is something so that people that hold a different opinion than what I do can address it. And I know it's a passionate thing for people on both sides. And I'm not looking to pick a fight. I just want answers to my questions. So I listed 37. No, I'm on list 37. But I have these things that I would like to have addressed, and I'm open. But first of all, I want to say off on the get-go, just from what was presented in a little bit, the little tidbit was, I'm inclined to be, I'm biased against, and these are the reasons, and this is where I present from, is from an against standpoint. If you can address these things and I can be comfortable with them, I can switch, but I'm just saying, just from a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding, lack of knowing, lack of anybody actually having thought out the process, maybe this will help accomplish that. So, first thing is what type of vehicles are you talking about when you say ATVs, UTVs? Are we talking about three-wheelers, four-wheelers, custom golf carts, go-karts, scooters, mopeds, or and electric bicycles? Do these all qualify in that what was mentioned for the ATVs, UTVs? The next one is are these vehicles safe and roadworthy? And it only took me 1 minute 55 seconds to find out this information. So anybody can look it up. You don't have to trust what I'm saying. I even put down the address down here so you can double check me. But the NHTSA, the Federal Vehicle Safety Standards, do these vehicles meet those? I mean, like if I'm in a head-on collision at 25 miles an hour, which is what my neighborhood is, if I get in a collision with one of these things, who's going to win, me or them? Okay? Are they rated? I mean, like my car has to go through an extensive amount of testing before it can become a vehicle in roadworthy. So if you look at that, and I get in an accident with one of them, what's the propensity of me being hurt? What's the propensity of them being hurt? I don't want to be responsible for someone's death simply because they were in a vehicle that was not rated for our city streets and things. The statement that I've got here from the antiinjury.org says this. It says the Journal of Injury Prevention conducted a study using data from the CPSC and found that more than 60% of fatalities occurred when off-road vehicles were operated on paved roads. People driving on roads were less likely to wear helmets, therefore they suffered a higher rate of head injuries, collisions, drivers carrying multiple passengers, and multiple fatalities are also more likely when drivers are navigating on paved roads. So these are off-road vehicles that are designed for off-road use and not on the street. So they're already not designed for that. And then who's going to be allowed to operate these vehicles? Children, adolescents, teens, adults. Will they be licensed drivers? Will they be trained? How will we know that they've passed a particular type of training? We already have parents that are letting their kids drive golf carts up and down our streets, and that's frightening, especially when you're backing out of your driveway and one of those comes down the street on the wrong side of the street because they're not obligated to follow any road safety rules. And so it's a very frightening thing. The next thing is when will they be operated? They said they'll be operated from daylight to dark. Well, that's pretty subjective. I mean, there's 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after. I mean, if you go with me, I don't turn my lights on until the street lights come out, all right? So in that situation, those people would be running a hazard with me driving. So the next one is licensing, registration, and permitting. What's the process that you're going to do this? Who's going to administer? Will we have plates? Do we make up our own? Do we just write them out on a piece of paper? Do we put little stickers on it and say, happy is the person who drives an ATV? I don't know. But what does that look like? How's it going to be administered? How do we know if a vehicle's legal? Insurance. If someone's driving an ATV, a UTV, and I have an accident with them, is it all going to be me for an uninsured motorist? I mean, do they carry insurance for golf carts to run up and down the street? These are all viable questions because once they're on the street, I'm engaged with them. Hopefully not making contact, but I'm engaged with them. What's the necessity or benefits of this? I mean, so like the only thing I've heard thus far is the people that get to drive them are made happy. I mean, there's an entertainment value to it, but what's the benefit to the community? Is there a benefit? Some people have told me, and I did this. I went and I talked at the coffee shops, and I said, "What do you think about this? How do you feel? Convince me. Tell me the reasons for this." And the one thing that pops up over and over and over again is it's freedom. Okay. Well, the last time I checked, a driver's license is a responsibility. It's a privilege that's given to people that have passed a certain level of criteria of responsibility. Financial responsibility, insurance responsibility, driving responsibilities. So So, I get that that's free and it makes you feel good and all that kind of stuff. They look like really fun toys. I can't afford one. If I did, it would be all lit up. It'd look like Christmas all year long. But I don't, and and it's not because I can't afford one that I don't have one. It's just that I don't see the benefits of it. But convince me, that's what I'm asking. And then there's the other aspect of it that really bothers me, and that is there's a shifting of responsibility that takes place if none of these criteria are being addressed. Number one, in order for these individuals to have their privilege to ride these vehicles on our roads, it puts a burden on me. Now I have to watch out for 5 or 6 different types of vehicles that aren't normally the same size as a car or something like that. We already have problems with motorcycles. And I'm not saying motorcycles are the problem, I'm just saying people don't see motorcycle riders get killed disproportionate to the rest of society. So now we're doing the same thing, but we've got small and large, and now we're going to put in a middle class, so we have more opportunity to do injury then. So here's the things that I'm looking at. First of all, I feel like I'm being, in this regard, I'm being asked to assume a greater responsibility so that they can have their wants and desires addressed. So there's there's a greater variety of vehicles, shapes and sizes. There's a larger number of individuals ranging in age, maturity, and experience operating these vehicles, which increases the probability of incidents and accidents occurring. Okay, there's also a greater chance of people abusing the opportunity to drive their vehicle illegally, believing that they won't get caught, hoping they will blend in with those who are operating it illegally. Don't believe me? Look at your uninsured motorists here in New Mexico. It's high. Why is it high? Because people are cheating and doing it. So it's going to transfer down. It's math. It's not me being particular. It's just these are situations that are bothering me. And then there's a greater probability of serious injury or death to operators of these vehicles on paved roads, C6A, when these drivers come in contact in an accident, okay? If the ATV isn't an inferior vehicle, that's fine. I know it's got a roll cage, but we don't want to really roll them, do we? That's not the desire. We want people to walk away from it. And so here's the last thing. The liability. What does the city bear in liability if they make this legal? Is there someone that's going to get injured and say, well, you should never have let this be a legal thing because it doesn't meet the National Highway Transportation Safety? And so does the city as a community, do we bear greater liability if someone does become injured or hurt or harmed in some way? And you get a lawyer that comes in and says, you shouldn't have done that. So those are my questions. And I throw them out there so that they can be answered. The last thing I want to do is have a free-for-all and everybody get all upset and everything else like that. This is out there so you all can address those questions and answer them, and we can come up with a logical conclusion and make a rational decision so that we as a community can have what's best for the community. So that's my side of it. Everybody else can put their own 2 bits into it. Thank you very much. It was 5 minutes, 37 hours and 10.
Commissioner Gator, that was a perfect time for an amen.
Amen. Amen. You wanted that short on Sunday?
I don't ever see that happening. I don't see that. Only if you pass out or something. That's the only way we'll get it shorter.
Well, he forgets to take a breath. I have noticed that.
Yeah, he turns a little red up there once in a while.
Imagine when you've been a big center.
Yeah. So
all right. Does anyone else have anything before we move on? I see no one moving. All right, we are moving on. All right, brings us to my agenda here. All right, brings us to our discussion items. The first item, Mr. Miranda.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, just a couple of housekeeping items for discussion. The first is I want to update you on the consideration of the installation of the baby box at the Lovington Fire Department. A couple of weeks ago, Chief Skip and I visited the Hobbs Fire Department and viewed their baby box. I will show you some photos of what it looks like. First of all, the baby box is placed in a discrete area which is not in camera view. The purpose of the program is not to try and identify the person dropping off the baby. For that reason, Chief Skip thinks potentially that Fire Station 2 may be a possible better location if we were to obtain one. To date, Hobbs has had 2 male babies dropped in this box, and they are healthy and now placed in permanent homes. You'll see that when the door is opened from the outside and the baby is placed in the temperature-controlled box, it then locks from the outside and transmits an alarm both to LCCA and to the fire station itself, which is obviously always staffed. Lovington EMS would then take custody of the baby, assess it, transport it to Norlene Hospital, and CYFD would be called. The baby does become a ward of the state, thus CYFD, until it is placed in a permanent home. The program is run by Safe Haven Baby Boxes of Indiana. The baby box is leased from Baby Boxes for a one-time fee of $15,000. I am told that they will help us find funding for that amount, and the cost of construction and installation is an additional $7,500 to $10,000, a total cost of approximately $25,000. However, one of the reasons for updating the commission this evening is that participation in this program also calls for an annual $500 renewal fee and a term renewal every 5 years of an additional $500. So this program does mean that the city will have an incremental annual fee, which would potentially come out of the fire department budget. So we will continue to keep you updated when and if we find funding, if you wish us to proceed. And I'll be happy to stand for any questions, or Chief Skip.
So he pretty much covered everything. I did speak with Monica Kelsey. She is the lady who started all this. She was the surrendered baby when she was a baby. So, of course, she's passionate about it. And she said she is willing to meet with the commission via Zoom if they had questions that they had for her regarding this. Chief Mark DePorto from the Hobbs Fire Department said he would come and speak as well. He's an advocate of it. Both babies that Mr. Miranda discussed were surrendered within the first 6 months of them installing the box. And as far as the money, Senator Gallegos, they say, is a good person to meet with on that, because the baby box people don't help us find the money, but they can direct us in ways to get money. And the state actually has money that's set aside for the baby boxes that we can try to get. And Senator Gallegos is a good point for that. And then also John Wisherham, which is the assistant chief of the Espanola Fire Department. He is somebody we could reach out to as well. So we have done a lot.
So if the commission's okay with it, we'll continue to pursue information and keep you updated in the future.
I don't think there's anyone.
Has any objections?
In disagreement with this?
I don't feel comfortable about it.
Well, and I would request that we get a little bit of outside help as to the location. I mean, the reason I say Firehouse 2, it's been on again, off again, and I know we're on again right now, but
well, there's an alarm.
I figured there had to be something.
It's a silent alarm. What it does is it would automatically send a message to my phone, and within 30 seconds of that silent alarm going off, dispatch will tone the fire department out. And just like Chief DePorto said, he's like, my guys are not always in the station. He said, we may have a call, we're out, and the station's empty. He's like, but as soon as that tone goes out, if somebody's in Station 4, they can respond across town to Station 2, because it's, for a few minutes that baby's gonna be fine. It's in a,
temperature control.
Controlled environment. So it would be the same way with us at Station 2. If for some reason we weren't in that building, then, it's 3 minutes across town for us to get to that baby, if even.
But to be clear, you're going to poke a hole in the side of the building.
I'm aware. I see no problem. Yeah, so, I would say continue on and then just keep us up to date.
Well, and the way I look at it, if we save one life, it's worth the money. It's worth the time. I'd rather get a baby out of a baby box than out of a trash can.
Without a doubt. Okay.
So what's the age range for that? They go up to about 35?
I was gonna say, you can't post your 17-year-old.
I ain't got no money like you. I'm trying to be 30, late 20s, early 30s. But, I mean.
No spouses.
Joking aside, what is the, I mean.
I think it's 6 months.
I think,
There's a law that, first 6 months, I think it is. I'll research it and I'll let you know. I think it's the first 6 months of life. You can turn the baby over to the hospital or fire or police.
police
I
department.
think not risk criminal
Without any
prosecution. Yeah,
But-
so it's not abandonment of a child. After 6 months, it might be considered abandonment of a child.
None of it makes logical sense to me.
I'd say something about you.
It's all right, man. I got some issues, man. I'm going through counseling. And self-counseling. I'm working on it.
I mean, to be transparent up front, Chief DeBordo said, you know, you do have your people who are against it, and they do voice their opinion. So, I mean, but you're gonna have that with everything.
It's not about abortion.
It's not,
No, no,
not to or
No,
against.
it just makes me feel uncomfortable, you know, I realize that there's people out there that, I don't know how to correctly say that are able to do that situation, you know, and, I mean, it's heart-wrenching for the rest of us, so, you know, and if the need is that high, you know.
Not everybody has the life that you do. It's sad, but it is.
Yeah, nobody has the life I have, yeah.
Or giving them an opportunity for a place to give this child away.
Right.
And it just don't seem right, but.
I understand. It's just the world we live in, not Dunster's.
As far as I know, we're good.
Next item up for discussion. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, about 6 months ago, Ms. Lester and I were approached by two descendants of Marjorie Waits regarding the historic Matthew Seawalt house, which is at 121 East Jefferson Avenue in Lovington. For those of you not familiar with the history or the recent history of this house, in 1994, Marjorie S. Waits created a trust which was amended in 1996, which provided for, quote, the city of Lovington for the use, occupancy, and benefit of the Lee County Museum devoted to the procurement, care, and display of objects of lasting interest or value, etc. The trust also stipulates that if the city of Lovington, Lee County declines to accept said residential real property, or if the city of Lovington accepts same and thereafter fails to use it or ceases to use it for the purpose herein above set forth, the title to said residential real property shall revert to the Marjorie S. Waits Trust. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, although Ms. Waits' trust calls for these conditions, we then set about to determine under what conditions the city accepted this property. Ms. Lester was able to find the resolution number 031201, which was passed on March 12th, 2001, which you have in your packets, which did indeed specify that if the city failed to use it or ceases to use it for the purpose required, it shall revert to the trust of Marjorie Waits. The resolution also mentions that on February 21st, 2001, the Board of Directors of the Lee County Museum also recommended to accept this gift. I then consulted with the city attorney to make sure that if the city were to return the property to the Marjorie Waits Trust, that no anti-donation laws would be violated. And he advised that they would not, since we would not be returning the property to a specific heir, but to a trust, the distribution of which would be determined by a probate judge. I also consulted with several board members of the Lee County Museum last week, and they agreed that after already having invested over $40,000 in basic repairs to the property, that the museum was in no financial shape to rehabilitate or maintain the property. I thus present this item to the City Commission for discussion for future possible action.
Council.
I just want to make something maybe a little bit more clear. It's not an anti-donation issue because it's being returned to a trust. I think it's not an anti-donation issue because we took it under certain terms and conditions. And those terms and conditions included, you know, a clawback by the trust. So whether it was a trust or an LLC or an individual, I think because of that clawback is what prevents us from running afoul with anti-donation.
Questions, Commissioner? Yes, sir, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if there's no objections, I could put it on as an action item for your review for the next meeting, if that's acceptable.
I don't think there's gonna be any opposition to that.
I just wanted to go inside there, but trying to get in there was always such a pain. You know, that it was a struggle for the people to get over there and everything like that. So, missed opportunity, I guess you could say, but yeah.
I think the city has not met their obligation in this, so if they want it back, we will attempt to get that done for them. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All right. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry. I can't remember, is there a plaque up front, stone? So we'd have to remove that. Can you also put that on there? If we give it back to her, remove the stone.
Okay.
He's just a
Does it
wizard.
say City of Lovington?
Yeah, it says,
He's just a
I forgot what it's titled, maybe it could stay on there as long as,
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on the
One
city
I know.
or
I
store.
one I know.
I think the stone one just says the seawall house.
seawall
But
house.
there's
Yeah.
a smaller by the driveway museum or something that probably needs to come out.
Okay, yeah, something like that.
I'll investigate, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's all.
All right. Discussion, our next item is a discussion of RV park violations. Ms. Britt, how are you this evening?
Hello, my name is Laura, Code Enforcement. Hi Commissioners and Mayor. All right, so Code Enforcement has had some issues with the RV parks. With the inspections, the municipal code 552080. That states where we either, the city receives the application for the RV mobile home park applications. We're supposed to receive a engineer drawing with the application, which we haven't with the current ones that are in business right now within the city. We are just wanting to know, are we to enforce this code, or, I mean, we just need some guidance on what to do. They haven't been enforced since the one that I can remember back in 2013 is the latest.
So on the RV parks, they were allowed, the ones that were in existence back in that day, they were allowed until 2020 to come up to code with the new code, with the code she was saying, the 522. I sent out letters, actually, to all RV parks in 2018, 2019, and 2020. You had to bring your park up to code. I had several parks that did come up to code and got the engineering that was allowed. I have other parks that have come in and spoke to me that they know we're done messing with them. And I know Laura's tired. I do believe if we went with a few more citations to the ones that aren't doing anything, to try to persuade them to come in, because shutting them down, it will take you guys ordering that.
And the citations isn't gonna work because it hasn't been working in the past. We just had one individual, one RV mobile home park owner pay off a $3,000 debt just last week. And this was since last year. He's been making payments since last year in February, I believe. And he just paid that off last week. So that's comes to show that, you know, it's not, are we gonna prolong this
Yeah.
another year, another 5 years? I mean,
We have
The
some that are working
citation-
with us and some that aren't. We'll put it that way.
All right.
Can I ask a question on this?
Absolutely,
So
go ahead.
if, and I'm just gonna ask because I'm looking at it from like the fire department. So if this was a new deal that went in and they weren't up to the ordinance, is that not like fire code? I can't make a building that every time the fire code changes, I can't go in and say, you need to change this, you need to come up with fire code, you gotta meet it. It's just like, you know, a building is up to the code that the building is built unless they do 50% remodel or more. Would that
That's
not?
where they messed up when they wrote the new ordinance. They didn't allow a grandfather clause for the.
Yeah.
See, and
The
that,
only thing they allowed in the ordinance to be grandfathered in was the size of the RV. All other codes.
well, and that's why
had
I'm
some-
asking like how legally
Yeah.
can, do you see what I'm saying?
No.
Like, that's my question.
Yeah, because the older RV parks, because of the space sizes, it was a fire hazard, actually, because they were packed in there too closely together. So that is why a lot of that changed. If they just came into compliance with the space sizes, I would be lenient on the engineering, because that's expensive. But most of these that don't want to do the engineering are also packing too many RVs in there.
Patrick, do you have any legal advice?
Well, it's a situation where we haven't changed code to maybe change a setback, for example. So this is based primarily on a health and safety issue. So I think we'd be on solid ground to say, we made some adjustments based on how the state's changed. And we made changes based on that. They're for health and safety purposes, not for aesthetics. And so I think we'd be on solid ground to enforce it. We gave them, I think, what, a decade to get ready?
Just a decade.
And so I don't think that's unreasonable to go back in and say, in order to keep you safe as a resident of Lovington, whether it's a permanent resident or a temporary resident, that we shouldn't be able to enforce that. And I think what it's going to do is take action by the commission to say, okay, this entity is not taking notice because they're just paying these fines. And is to, there's some provisions in that ordinance to take some other steps. And so that's, I think, what we would need to take a look at. But it also costs time and it takes money. And so I think that's why, part of why Laura's presenting it to you, saying, hey, here we are. The other thing is, you know, when I look at it, yeah, I could easily say, oh, okay, we just need to drag everybody off to court. But that takes a lot of time. And it takes a lot of money to do that. And so what I think we need to do is take a look at when they come in and apply for a new business license, to be more proactive and say, here's a checklist of all the things that you need to get this business license. And I don't think we're doing that.
Yeah, we do. I have a
We do?
checklist
Okay.
that they're supposed to go by, and the city is not supposed to, they're supposed to come in and pay for an inspection fee.
Mhm.
They pay that $100 renewal, $150 if it's brand new. They pay that inspection fee, we inspect it. If they don't pass it, they should not get a license.
Mhm. Is part of that process, though, passing would be providing the engineering study?
Part of it is in there, but that's where we have conditionally passed some of them, because they're working on their engineering. Like I
Right.
said, if they'll give me the spaces, if they'll give me the safety reasons for this code, I'll work with them on the other issues.
And then actually in the
park.
code 552-020 states that when they turn in the application, with the application, they're supposed to turn in the engineer drawing.
Yes.
That's like the main
It
issue.
is.
And ever since COVID came along, that's what everybody's using, like, oh, COVID came along. We didn't know.
That was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You've been operating since 2013.
Yeah.
You do not know the municipal codes or, you know, what you're supposed to do in order to keep running your business. I mean, and just for code enforcement division, just to give you roughly an idea, to inspect and re-inspect, we are going about maybe 14 hours a week just for RV parks. Just for RV parks. And those are the ones that are just had applied and turned in their applications. So I don't know the other departments, the fire department, planning and zoning, how long it takes them, but that's how
Takes about
That's
2
kind of like-
hours to do an inspection.
That's what I wanted to ask about these businesses. Are they all applying for a permit every year? Business license?
They're supposed to also.
Are
Not
they?
all of them
Not
are.
all of them. We don't
Then why are we
allow-
not?
They're the ones that need to be shut down. The
Right.
ones that are not working with us or are not applying for the
These
license.
are a lot.
Because every business should be doing that yearly.
Yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, ladies, each individual RV park, you'd have to present the case to the commission, kind of like
Yes.
one of the drug houses we tear down, and ultimately it would be their decision to shut them down.
So we do have, in the RV
Yes.
parks, we do have where code can issue them a cease and desist.
With the permission of the commissioners.
Well, it's not the point that we want to shut anybody down. We really
Yeah.
don't.
Well,
But they need to
it's a matter of safety.
abide by the
welfare.
rules. Right,
We're just enforcing the ordinance.
exactly.
Already on the book.
And I just wanted to put it out there, we're not the ones responsible.
No.
If they're in violation, they're responsible for themselves getting shut down, not us.
And I think it's going to take, a review of it to say, if we're not following the letter of the law, do we change all of that?
Right.
Or do we change the ordinance to, what staff feels is a good way to do it? And that may be a better way, I don't know. But that's something also to take a look at.
And also to consider is, we know some of these parks are in violation, and we know these trailers are too close together. And if we do have a catastrophic fire over there, and then all of a sudden they say, the city knew about it, and they didn't do nothing about it.
Which we've already had a couple of fires in a few RV parks.
Yeah.
Crystal, a question I have, having been involved with this for a while, has anyone in this whole process had to completely re-engineer their park? Or have,
There are some of the older ones that they need, with the
No, 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 no.
engineering, they have to redesign their park, moving their water, their sewer. So that's where, with these smaller parks, that's why a lot of them have held up on doing it, because the cost of getting the engineering alone. But then when they come to find out all their spaces were too close, well, that means they have to move all those electrical, all those utility hookups. So that's when they just bulk out and quit doing the work. Now, I have a few of them that they've got the engineering, they can't afford to use the utilities, right? They can't afford to change the utilities around, so they're only using like every other space.
okay, I guess my
So they're
question should have
keeping that
been,
hazard at bay at that point.
what has been the most effort provided by an existing RV park since the implementation of that any one of them had, what's the most extensive they've done? Because I don't think we can enforce anything more than what the most extensive one that we have allowed, so.
Several of my small RV parks, very small,
Okay,
they had maybe 10, 12 spaces. They got the engineering,
okay.
they have arranged their park to where they are in safe compliance.
Compliance.
They did not move the utilities because it was too much, but they have went through that cost and they've lost income because they're not using all their spaces anymore. And so they came into compliance and they've worked hard to do that.
Okay, so that would be the base at which we had to start, because we can't go back and say, okay.
No, and that's these parks that are small and little like that, they've done it and some of these other bigger ones have not. And
All right,
that's,
so we're probably gonna have to rewrite, somehow review and/or rewrite the ordinance to at least address that. I mean, I don't see it. Because it's either all or nothing. I mean, in a way, if we hit the ordinance, then if you're out of compliance, you're out of compliance. If you're in compliance, you're in compliance, and this is what it takes to get there. So now, are we comfortable, we as a city in enacting, are we comfortable to say an all or nothing right now? That may be a question for you too. You've been there. I'm relying on, y'all been involved more. So if we say you meet the ordinance or you don't, are, you know, and I realize,
So that's
13.
where it's, when it says you have to have the engineering, that's where I go back to, is that a fire and safety hazard thing to actually shut them down over? Well, no, it's not, but if they allow the spacing that the engineering would show, that keeps them at a safe space from each other, that's what we're looking, that's the outcome we're looking for, is to make them safe to be in, right?
Well, it's like I can drive on the road without a driver's license and be perfectly safe, follow all the rules and regulations, but I'm still in violation.
Yeah.
And there's a number of other things that that driver's license does for me. It provides some identification. If there is an accident, it provides, hey, this is Mr. McMahon, this is his vehicle, this is where he lives, this is where we can contact him.
phone number, right?
And there's also some responsibility that goes with it. So I think we really need to take a hard look at it, because I could drive just as safe without a driver's license, or even without one in my pocket. But I still am not complying with the law. There's a reason why. And so I think we either have to say, no more driver's licenses, or that's the rule, we actually need to enforce it. And so, but it does take time. And so when we look at it, say, how many RV parks do we have? We like adding another layer onto what the chief does. Okay, do we have enough people out there to do it? And what's it gonna cost? What time does it take? That's something we really need to factor in as well. And I think what we were experiencing at that time is a number of RV parks, we were seeing an explosion in the oil field as far as population. And just is a crazy amount of people that were coming here to live. They couldn't find places to live, and so those RV parks were popping up on every corner, every empty lot. And so we had to say, hey, we need to make this safe. Here's what's gonna do that to make it safe. So I think it's, you know, part of the requirement. There's a reason why it's there, not just to say, well, I did everything that's in that, but I didn't actually do that study. And so it puts a burden on us to determine, hey, everything is done, versus an engineer who's got a stamp and he or she says, this is engineered properly, it meets the requirements, and say, okay, we can rely on that engineer stamp. So we either have to enforce it and understand it's gonna take some time, so we can't just say to Crystal, well, add that to your to-do list, because there's a lot to do. So somebody's got to absorb that in there somewhere. So, or just say, no, we're not enforcing it, take it out of the ordinance and not worry about it. But that's gonna be a decision that I think the commission has to look at. So, but I can't tell you at that time, they were popping up everywhere.
I think there's 13 RV parks now.
Yes.
And how many are out of compliance, out of the 13?
Probably 5, 6 of them are completely out of compliance. And I have 3 that I'm working with, and then I have 4 or 5 of them that are in compliance with.
Those are the newer ones.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, statistically it shows, I mean, no use in reinventing the
Taking
wheel,
it
but just
over.
stick what we got and move forward and
Just
take care of business.
Just to answer your question, Mayor,
Yes.
I am for, like Commissioner Trujillo mentioned, I mean, you either come in compliance or you don't. You know, that's how I've seen it with the RV parks and mobile home parks.
And I've worked with them for years, so I'm all for
Some are in
that.
compliance, a few are in compliance, and, you know, Turning Point, they're like, well, why aren't they in compliance? Why do I need to do it? You know, and then the mothers are like, I'm not gonna do it. So it's like, what do we do?
Well, and then you have the small parks that have went through all the costs to come into compliance. And they're like, they're upset because other parks are still operating.
Legitimately
that
so.
Aren't having to do a thing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I'm all for shutting the ones down that aren't doing it right, because I have thought this for years.
And a lot of the RV parks they're filling up.
Yeah,
They are lately.
and they charge a hefty price too, so.
So my only question is, if you do shut them down, where are those people gonna go? They're gonna end up in
Yeah,
people's
because then we got
backyards,
more
they're
empty
gonna end up
lots
in
that are gonna
driveways.
have, because we got people in driveways, people in backyards, that's what I worry about too.
Yeah.
That is why we're.
There's another ordinance for that.
For that, yeah.
I mean, we can do this all year long. There's an ordinance for that one also. There's like,
But they're still.
you can have, 2 vehicles in your residence. No vehicles whatsoever in the alleyway. Do not park in the curbside, or, there's all sorts. I tell people people that live here in the city of Lovington, get to know the ordinances, the city law. Because everybody's starting to see that we're enforcing it. Oh, this never been enforced, why are you coming to give me a citation? Well, your neighbor, I just spoke to your neighbor.
It has to be,
I can't,
But we've always done it that way.
Yeah.
Don't get into that all the time.
So someone has to draw the line in the sand. Someone says,
Yes.
we're done.
Yeah.
So as of July 1st, 2025, if you want to draw a line in sand, look, that's our new fiscal year. As of 2025, if you're not in compliance, you're no longer valid, you're no longer shut down, whatever you have to do, you have till now. We've worked for you for 10 years or more, however long, trying to get, and you don't want to play along, this is the line. And at this point, this is a new fiscal year. I don't remember, when did the business license used to be, in what, January or
They're
whatever?
they're due by March 15th.
actually, the RV mobile home parks are due December.
Well, that's fine.
But March 16th is for the regular businesses.
Well, they're on the same timeline with their business.
Now, I guess there's yeah.
So whatever it is, that's fine. Just, the line is right there, July 1st. Let's move forward from there. This is what it has to be. If you're not going to comply, then we'll move forward with whatever resources we need to do. Yes, it's expensive, but you're not paying attention. You've had 10 years to make whatever profit you've had to do. We've tried to work with you. We've offered solutions. We've worked tirelessly to try to get you to operate a business that has the health and safety in mind of your customers. You no longer wish to do this. Here's my line.
All right.
So, that's me. I don't know about the rest of you
No,
guys, but
I think it was well said.
Because otherwise, it's just like with any other law or ordinance, we don't want to look like we're selectively enforcing the ordinances.
I understand.
We want to apply them equally.
But we are, we're allowing people to not conform, and other people that did their civic duty and conformed, we've created a really bad situation.
well, we did. We tried to work with people because it was a situation that needed to be corrected, and we tried to be friendly about it, but, hey, probably my last turn anyway, so draw the line.
All right.
Okay, thank you. All right, move us to our action items.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-015, variance for 1117 West Madison, carport, side yard setback.
Okay, motion and second for consideration of this resolution. Who? Ms. Ball, is this you?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, so I thought.
Sorry.
I thought, but you were looking around, sorry.
So we have a request for variance for carport side yard setback at 1117 West Madison Avenue, and to allow them to have the garage door. The way our carport ordinance is written, it's not supposed to have any walls or doors that interfere with vision. Well, this garage door is clear back at the side of at the front of the house. So when I discussed it with Planning and Zoning Commission, we don't feel that that is an impairment of vision, because they're all the way out of that garage before they hit the public right-of-way or sidewalk where they would have clear vision at that point. So we don't feel like the garage door is a impairment of vision. They open the door, they back up just like you would at your garage or your home. So we didn't, but of course, it's the way the carport ordinance is written, it can't have any walls or doors, so we needed to add that in here. The reason the owners put up the garage door was basically as a fence from their backyard to their front yard. So it's to keep their dogs in the backyard, the privacy of their backyard, things like that. The side setback, we have granted other variances on this side setback. When we had the neighboring properties, didn't have any issues. They do have a rain gutter. There was no cap and downspout on the rain gutter and was causing some issues, but they are going to repair that and get a downspout on it.
Oh,
And-
sorry, I was,
The owner's here, so, already did, see? Planning and zoning, we told her during that meeting that that did need to be addressed, so she did control the rainwater off of her home and carport back onto her own property. So they have taken care of that. The other issue is they did need to get a CID permit. So the owners would have to go through the process of getting the engineering done for the design of the carport, getting it inspected by the state and passing that, and then of course, that would make the variance final, if you guys so allow it. And the owner is here if you have any questions for me or the owner.
okay. Commissioner. Go ahead, Mr. Gandy. Oh,
Soapbox, oh no, it's a variance. Do it.
well, I'm going to address you, Ms. Ball, because I certainly am, I want you to understand I'm not picking on you. But we are going to need to let, in some manner, as we are talking about on the RV parks, in constructing things without proper permits.
Yeah.
And that,
She
we-
was cited him for that, I mean,
I know,
yeah.
but it's kind of back to the same thing that the RV parks are doing. It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. And so as long as we continue to accept these, and this is directed also, and I miss Price isn't here today, but anyway, we can't just keep, as Mr. Gaines says, giving out variances to allow people to just take it in your own. And one of the things that I would state is maybe time frame, if it's, well, if we're gonna give a little bit of leeway, that it's gonna be, oh, I made a mistake. I am guilty, whenever we were building over on Avenue Q, we determined real quickly that we poured slabs in the wrong spot. We asked for variance, but that was within 30 days or 60 days, whatever it was, and we were prepared to tear them down, but we were granted a variance, and I understand the need. I understand how it's nice not to have to tear something down that you just built. But at some point, there's gonna have to be consequences. And so, I know that, and I'm certainly not here to impose that on them today, but in order to not get no's going forward, and
Well, that's where just, when you have illegal building going on, it's just, if we don't know about it, it happens all the time. And
Every Saturday.
if neighbors would call when this was being built instead of 2 years after it's built, just because they had an argument with them to turn them in for it.
right.
It's a
Well,
lot
and-
easier to stop things when they're, like you said, when they're digging the holes and putting the poles up first off, that would be the time to stop people,
Yeah, I understand. So we may have to address this in a different way. That's why I'm saying timeframes may enter into that. If it's,
I don't like variances either,
nobody does.
no.
If it's 3 years old and nobody screamed about it, then obviously it's not a problem, and we just move on. I don't know. I don't have a solution. I'm just saying that all of these issues are gonna continue to come up, and we're just kicking that can down the road. And we're not helping the ones that are legitimate, and getting everything done. We're not helping them set the bar. All we're doing is saying, if you can get away with it, you can get away with it, and away we go. So anyway, I got off my soapbox now. Does any other commissioner have? Yes, Commissioner Vogel.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Crystal that if we do approve this, how long do they have to get this, owner must get a CID permit and pass all inspections. How long before,
So I usually work with them to give them like 6 months, just so they have time to get the engineering, because that does cost money, and of course, the engineer takes a month or two to actually, once you paid him to come out, he has to look at this, he has to take measurements to do his engineering, because it's already been built. So he has to make the engineering, match what's there. There may be items they need to beef up or change because of the engineering to make it more solid and secure. But that will be on them, and they will have to bring those up to code. So that's why I usually give them about 6 months, just because a few months to get the engineering and everything done, and then if they need to fix it, and then do their final inspection.
so what happens in 6 months if it's not?
So like on the resolution, it says where the owner does not comply with this condition set forth, the variance is null and void, and then she will be removing the building.
That's
Okay.
fair.
So she has 6 months? Or is that something that needs to be put in here?
If you want us, we can put that in here. That's usually the time frame I give them.
I think it should be put in the resolution, that way
If
it's
we
clear
can
that
put that
it's
wording
6
in the
months.
resolution, Shannon. I can have that, if you guys will just state that in your,
We we will amend
okay?
the motion, yes.
Because like you were saying that, what we
I'm not
have,
allowed to, so.
we're looking.
So we could just change that the last whereas to where if the owner does not comply within 6 months, the conditions set forth the variance will be null and void.
Right, and I know we're looking for as you stated before, a timeline. Some of these have gone on forever. That, you know what, if we're gonna be approving this, we're gonna put a timeline on it too, that it needs to be addressed and taken care of. Not that 2 years down the road, this still hasn't been done.
Right. No, I like it.
2 years, that'd be David's problem.
All right. Any further discussion?
So I'll have to make the amendment? Well,
I
yeah,
don't
I made the
think-
motion, so I'll have to make the amendment.
Right.
So, Shannon, can you amend my resolution to include the multiple words that Crystal said about the 6 months and all the other stuff, or can you hand that down here till I can read that? Where's it at here? All right, I'd like to amend my motion for resolution 2025-15, variance for 1117 West Madison, the carport setback to include, whereas if the owner does not comply within 6 months with the conditions set forth, the variance will be null and void. And we're removing the building also? With removal of the building? Or the removal of the structure, or, okay, that good with you?
We have a motion second for this amendment to the original. Any further discussion? All right. Before I move on, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure. If you have a question, now's the time to. All right, sounds good. Thank you. Shannon?
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
I'm on the soapbox, no.
Mayor Roberts.
Yes. When you fall off and hit your head, that's when.
Well, you knocked me off a while ago, so hey, there we go. There we go. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-016, approve sale of 2320 South Main.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for consideration of this resolution. All right, prior to discussion by the commission, I would like to defer this to council.
So I think this has been an issue we've dealt with. I think this is the third time around. So one of the things that my experience with the city on bids or requests for a bid or proposal such as this is when we set those minimums, we generally follow those minimums. And so what happens if we don't, we get in the situation where the next time we go out and we say there's a minimum, that never happens. And then you start down this slippery slope. And so there is some flexibility sometimes when you get a bid in to take a look at it and say, hey, we went out for bid, we've got a number of things to consider. I think in this instance, what also happens is if you were to accept the bid, that you're going to have somebody else come in, and it almost always occurs and says, well, if I knew you were going to accept less, I would have bid. Well, they didn't, but it's still another issue that we have to deal with. And so my recommendation would be to take a look at it and say it doesn't meet the bid requirements based on the dollar amount that was bid. And that you could reject that bid and say, let's go back out to bid and see what we're really dealing with. Because this is the third time and we haven't got close to appraised value. We haven't got close to where we want to be at our last request for, hey, this is the minimum that's here. So I think what we need to do is either say, well, we're not going to go back out to bid because this isn't working, or we're going to go back out to bid with the commission's understanding that we are probably not going to get what we want for it dollar-wise. And the way to offset that is to have a plan, and I think there was a plan attached here. That plan to me looks acceptable because there's information in there about what other monies are available, what their project consists of, and kind of what the state has already looked at and vetted that plan as well. And so I think you really have to decide what's the dollar amount that we need to get to. Now, it's also my understanding that there is a time frame that the one applicant we had is working on as far as when that money from the state or LEDA or other is available. There's two ways to look at that. One, it puts additional pressure on the city to say, hey, well, maybe we'll come back in and readjust. Another way to look at that is where are we in the difference in the amount of what the bid and the minimum was. And I don't know if the information is correct, but if you take a look at what comes from the EDD, and it says a capital investment overall in the project is around $1 million. And so there's some LEDA fund that's available. This is public because it's attached to that application. Another way to look at it is they got really close and put at risk a big chunk of change for what I would consider to be maybe not a lot of change on the front end. So there's always two ways to look at it. But my experience with the city, I think what we've done in the past when we look at minimums is to require that minimum, and if that minimum's not met, we've got to reject. And so my recommendation on this would be to reject it because it doesn't meet one of the requirements. The packet that comes along with it is great, but I think the commission really needs to decide, is it something we want to continue with? Do we just want to let it sit? And I don't think that's a good idea. I would rather see the barbecue place in there because I buy this, it's good. And so I'm not saying I don't like it, I like Stubbs better. I'm just saying, here's the pattern that we need to start with and stick to. And so commission needs to decide the next time you go out for a bid, do you just say, we will consider the price, but we need a business plan that is going to make us happy. And if you just took a look at the business plan and said a capital investment of over $1 million, that makes up maybe for whatever you're looking at to get out of it dollar-wise. It's a defensible position for me, and I think in the long run it makes it a better situation for the community. Because we've looked at two other examples I can think of, places that I frequent. I get coffee and beer and pizza, and we did something very similar on that. We didn't come in and say, here's what the appraisal is for that lot. This is the minimum you need to require. And I'm not saying that was a mistake. I'm just saying when we look at the next step, we've done this in the past for others. They've both been very successful. I don't think we've had a situation where we did say, give us your best shot dollar-wise, but we're really going to focus on your plan, attach that packet as your business model, and not had success at it. So that would be my recommendation. I know you've got some flexibility, going to do what you want, but that's where I'm coming from. I'd be happy to stand for any questions that you have.
Questions? Everybody's clear as mud?
Thinking about it.
Okay,
Can-
I'm gonna give you a minute. Yes,
Can
go
we
ahead.
allow,
I'm gonna have him come up in just a minute, yes. I just kinda wanted to give everybody up here a minute to digest it. Mr. Dunlap, would you like to come up? And you don't have to, this is totally up to you. You've kinda heard, and maybe you can help enlighten us just a hair.
I'm ready. So I'm Terrell Dunlap. Most people know me as Terrell Dunlap, but a lot of other people in the past few years know me as TD. I created something, maybe you guys have heard of it. It's called TD's Brew and Barbecue. We have the Carne Sutra, we have the Southern Mustard. I have eclipsed over 51 International Taste Awards in just 6 years. I distribute to over 600 grocery stores, and I also distribute over 3,000 packages a year directly to the consumer from my warehouse. I created this business, my barbecue sauce I've been making for almost 20 years now, if you can believe that. So it's not something that just happened overnight that I created and started putting in a bottle. It's not somebody else's recipe, this is mine. 100% my business plan. I started this business to restore a 1967 Super Sport Chevelle. It's orange and black, you've probably seen it cruising around. Once I got to the point that that car was almost ready, I decided that this was it. So 18 months into my adventure into this, I left my job, sold my company, and this is what I'm doing. So I have been working with economic development, was approached man-to-man with economic development from the state about the possibility of bringing in manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution into this area because of what I already have. Now, I currently have products that I make for a dozen other companies. None of them are here. So this is money, this is business coming in from other people who not only just come here for the product where I ship it out, they come here to visit, see the facility, and basically work with me. I am the reason why the customers that I have, I work with. Not only that, I have one customer right now that is taking advantage of my e-commerce and fulfillment. He does not live here, he does not touch his product, he sells his product, I take care of everything else. So when the order comes in, it comes directly to me. Every day at 5 p.m., you can set your watch by it between 4:45 and 5 p.m. I am at the post office every day. What that does is, that is my fulfillment going out every single day. What I have done over the past 5 years is create not just a company, but a place where I can push my culture and what I believe in into the employees in my business. This business plan involves bringing 16 new jobs, full-time new jobs, into Lovington, New Mexico over the course of 5 years. I am locked in with a five-year deal from the economic development, which is a maximum award of $150,000 in reimbursable grants. As you can see, my business plan that I turned in there, or my project plan that I turned in there, includes a 90-day and an estimated investment of over $250,000. What I'm looking for here is I'm looking to make this my central location to take TD's Brew and Barbecue here, and not only that, I serve almost another 100 stores personally that I actually physically drive to and stock those stores. This area is my area. Lovington is the local central point to the routes that I have set up. I have 5 different routes that I run over the course of a month. And each one of those, I physically go into the store. I am at the point now where I am looking to lead people into the next level, not just scaling my business, but taking people in developing careers. So all I can say right now is, I think pretty much everybody's familiar with my brand, familiar with my company. The only thing I can say is that there is no other option other than this right now. I have been looking for places for over 60 days right now, and right now my time limit on my grants and my application will expire after 60 days, and it was awarded on January 11th. So from my understanding, I'm looking from January 11th to March 11th. So we have to be in progress, conducting this business, ready to move forward before your next meeting. Otherwise, we lose the grants, and that's leaving the grants on the table. Personally, I'm not interested in doing that, but if this building right here at 2320 does not happen, then unfortunately my business is going to have to be somewhere else, because we cannot find a location here in Lovington, New Mexico to put it. I need to have close from anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. This property right here, there's a couple options that I have. You can see in the project plan that I have there. That includes building the building around the existing, leveling the backside, building the building around the existing, drive-through on one side, full warehouse in the back, fulfillment center, retail store, and as well as my clean room for our manufacturing of products. So you're talking about what could possibly be somewhere around about a 5,000 square foot facility going on this property right here. And that's the only thing. Other than that, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. But this is the option right now, and outside of this there is no other option on the table other than not here.
Did you understand the complexity that the council has? I don't believe there's anybody up here trying to stand in your way. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of background though, because this is our third attempt at trying to find an owner for this. Had in the first RFP or bidding process, we had one person submit a bid that we rejected. And so had we not done that, this would not be available to you today.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
100% agree.
The second, first of all, I had no idea what your plan was. We just simply had a name, a bid. So
the name under the LLC of TD's Grill and Barbecue from last meeting.
Right. Okay. So then we tried to hone that down a little bit because the EDC, Evelyn, it has been promoting your business, and so we, because of the lack of support documentation, then we went out again and said, hey, a business plan, but we still, whether in our error or whether that's just the way it worked out, we put a minimum of this amount and a business plan, and so because of that, we don't want to set a precedent where we just throw one of those away. All right. So I don't believe that anybody here that's sitting up here, and I'm going to give them a chance if they want to stand in the way, but we're handcuffed right now. You're handcuffed on time, we're handcuffed on how we should proceed here. So, or how we can proceed here. So in discussion, we, by advice of council, we probably should deny this. I realize that you have a time frame, so I'm going to ask for options. We've had 2 total bids on this property.
As far as my understanding, you only had 3 total bids. I was 2 of them.
You're 2 of them.
Right.
I'm talking about 2 different.
Right.
All right.
But there was no contested bid in either 3, right?
Correct.
That's what I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
We're on, right. Everybody's on the same. All right. So in order to do this on your time frame, we would have to call a special meeting. I don't even know if we can do that. Can we do that based on this?
We'd have to advertise.
I know, I realize that, but he's got a few days, just not a lot of days.
Our next commission meeting is March 10th.
I know, but he's,
Right.
that's, yeah,
Is that
I'm,
March 11th, right?
I'm not sure what the date is. I mean, if we can rebid it, like personally, would I want to see it there? Absolutely.
right.
There's no question, whether it was the barbecue sauce I like or some other entity that has that same business model.
Yeah.
I think it puts us in that same position of, do we decide to bend a rule that we've always, my understanding, we've always stuck to accommodate, and I would say that's probably not the best way to go, and there's a number of reasons. The other side of that argument is, and I always tell my clients, there's their side, your side, and somewhere in the middle. But we have received 3 actual bids that came in, 2 of which were a dollar amount that is exactly the same. You could make the argument that the
capitalist fair market system says that's about what you're gonna get probably for the bids.
Right.
But the best way to do it would be, I mean, I would say set a special meeting. If we can get it advertised, get the bids in, advertise it tomorrow, set the special meeting up, because if you look at the overall capital investment in there, it's big.
Right.
So there's two ways to look at it. One is, hey, we need to figure out a way to make it work. I think that's the safest way to make it work. The other way to look at it is also that there's not a lot of difference between 25 and 40. And so another way to look at it, and I'm not saying that funding was available to you or not, but that's a really big project to not get that pushed to the 40. So there's another way to take a look at it also. But if we can get it done, I would say if you can set a special meeting, do that, because the overall benefit that I see in the plan that was attached is really good. And we have had success with the other businesses that attached the plan that were not unlike this one. So.
Could I say one thing too, comparing to the other businesses that you're talking about? Those other businesses were an idea. I am 6 years in.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between a business that's an idea and a 6-year business.
There are other differences. The price was way, way lower, but there was also a clawback provision.
Right, exactly. And as far as I'm concerned, the brewery basically almost got given the property. And that's another thing too. 6 years in versus an idea. That's my argument here. That's my argument. You guys can deny it based on the value that I'm willing to spend on it, but in order for me to make this project work, that's the value that I'm getting.
I don't think, go ahead, Commissioner.
How long does it take to advertise to get a special meeting? I mean, advertise this for out to rebid and a special meeting. Can we do it in that time frame? That's the big question.
10 days. It was advertised on the 27th, then the 9th would be the 10th day, so you're looking at the 10th.
Which is a regular
No,
meeting.
there's a bid opening, like you did today. Is that not right?
Right, 10 days. It takes 10
We
days.
did a bid opening this morning.
On the proposed project plan, my start date is March 5th. I would just like to point that out as well.
Okay, Commissioner Gay.
No, Evelyn keeps raising her hand in the back.
Oh, I can't see her. I'm sorry. She's behind him, yeah. Come ahead.
So this is something that we've been working on with Carol for a while. And so that's something that we could do, also to balance out the price that you guys were looking for. He's gonna come to the EDC for local incentives anyways. At the end of the day, we could call it even and say we're not gonna give anything, and that would be the difference on the price of the building. Also on him having till March 11th, the state of New Mexico or the New Mexico EDD in the past and other projects, you can't get an extension. I mean, if he doesn't meet based off of the city's 20 days. So, I mean, he could do that. And I have done it in the past. We just have to ask for an extension due to the fact that we all understand you have to have a protocol, you have 10 days, you have to advertise. And Kevin and Jim will push to get him an extension of 15 to 20 days. That's not a big deal. He will not, he will not lose it.
Yeah, if that can happen, that is much preferred than sort of renegotiating here at the meeting to make up that extra.
Right.
I don't think that's.
I don't think that's a good idea.
But
I appreciate it.
I don't think you could say, hey, we put the bid out, there's 2 requirements. We were pleased with one of the requirements that came in because the plan is good. And if you look at that dollar amount, it's crazy not to try to get that accomplished. But it really backs us into a corner on that. Are we going to, we came from 65, maybe 45, somewhere in there, got to a point. So it backs us in a corner also. But if it's possible to do that, that was my recommendation. If we have to set a special meeting, set the special meeting. But I don't see a problem saying, hey, we have not had success on these bids, and so we are going to revise our bid. The bid is going to be, let's say, just for example, give us the best shot on the dollar you can have, and we're really going to focus on the impact long-term on the plan. And once we revise that, we don't think we're going to be unsuccessful at having a bid that meets that requirement and that we're gonna approve and move forward. So if we have to make that, not necessarily a commitment, but hey, here's I think what's gonna happen, to also get that extension that Evelyn says is available, I think we can. And Liz brought up a good point. She said, well, we were looking at the airplane hangar. And the difference on that airplane hangar is we tried to give it away, and the people that we gave it to said, nope, we don't want that. It's coming back to you. And so it's a little bit different situation. In that instance, we could say, we couldn't even give that away. And so that puts us in a different spot. Could we give away that piece of property in that building? I think we probably could. So it's a little bit different. But it seems like there's a solution, whether it's, jump through some hoops and get that meeting moved up quicker. And it may not be a bad idea to do a belt and suspender approach and not just rely on the fact that somebody in Santa Fe is going to say, okay, you can have an extension, because they may not be as accessible as they normally are based on the legislative session and some things like that. So my recommendation would be, number one, to say, hey, we haven't met the requirement. The bid hasn't met the mandatory minimum requirements. Here's what we need to do in the alternative. One, get it advertised, set the meeting as soon as possible, and then also make an attempt to get an extension. So.
I got a question. So Crystal, would you know how far out the MRA zoning is for the Main Street? Do you know?
For the Main Street?
Yeah. Because, True Brew was in the MRA district, and it's not part of the Main Street district anyways, but I know how far out does it go south? I don't know.
That's as far as I think it went.
And so, if it fell into the MRA, because I know the MRA is actually a lot bigger than actually the downtown.
The metro, you're talking the metro?
Metropolitan, yeah.
Yeah, no, the Avenue D, I don't think it goes past Avenue D.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know, I'd have to look, but
I think it goes down past, that's it.
Because if it went past, it would fall into the, True Brew and what.
I'm
That was
afraid
the
that's
problem,
gonna,
because that metro area was so small, so.
Yeah, it was.
I'm afraid that's gonna push the timeline out further though.
Yeah.
Our goal here is we cannot act the way it is. We should not, cannot maybe a little strong. We should not act because it doesn't meet the two requirements. If we do that, then down the road, anything could happen. So we can adjust, we can create a special meeting. And I don't believe it would take us all the way to the 10th.
Oh, yeah.
For sure it will.
Yeah, it's gonna be right.
But we've done it
Well,
before.
but if you could advertise not in, so you're talking about just in the leader, it wouldn't go out till,
Yeah, we could do Hobbs
you could do
tomorrow.
Hobbs advertisement, because it doesn't say what advertisement. We just have to put what advertisement. But
Hobbs, they can't do them like, they might be able to do it next day, but that's just Wednesday. It's not that much closer, than Thursday, really.
Well, that's what says the bid opening on Friday, and then 10
Advertise it
days.
Thursday, put it on the bid, put it on the agenda for March 10th. That's 10 days.
So just to bring up a couple of different points that talked about past is A, we don't want to be a realty company. We don't want to be landowners, so we want to get rid of it. B, the biggest factor we're going to have is his construction at the first, because he's wholesale, we'll never get, he may sell a few nickels and dimes out the front door, but it'll never be a big hit for us. The only other sector you're going to have is the 16 employees. If they live here, purchase homes here, purchase stuff here, that's going to be our bigger kicks to surrounding after that, other than, that's the only kick we're going to get from that. But we keep jobs local, maybe sell some more homes, different things like that, so.
Excuse me, if you guys ask the public out here, you're passing up $1 million outfit here.
We're not, Mr. Boyson, we're not passing it up. We're trying to make it work. And had we had a little information last time, we would have made it work this time. From lack of communication on everybody's level, we did not put out something that he can adhere to. He can't even right now say, I'll pay 40 and move us forward because bids are already in. We're at a time frame now. We're trying to establish, can we meet his time frame and still get through this? So that's where we're at. We're not against this.
I apologize. I feel like the time frame that we're talking about is a little bit longer than a yes or a no vote tonight. That's what we're looking for. Like, I understand your position and not looking forward to causing any stir in the community. Nobody else wants the building. Nobody else has applied.
We agree with it.
And so that's the thing. You guys as the commissioners, it says in here, you have the right to refuse or approve any bid. And that's what it says in here. I've given you guys what you want. I've given you guys the business plan. I am willing to put not just my, hold on, Scott. I'm willing to put my neck on the line and build my business here in Lovington, New Mexico, not just because this is where I'm from, but this is the community where I'm at right now. This is the community where I'm looking to build this, and the only thing I'm asking is for you guys' support to move on with this, because obviously nobody wants this building.
So I disagree with you in one aspect.
Sure.
You said you give us what we want. The RFP said 40 or 45 or whatever it was. That's 25.
Would we be in this position to set $1?
It wouldn't have mattered. Because we set a price.
Right.
And you knew what the price was.
Right.
You underbid the price.
Yes, sir.
So our deal is, we didn't get that, we have to disagree.
So your value for the property is more than the value of my business plan.
Unfortunately, at this moment, it is.
Not a problem.
So
Understand.
And here's the other deal.
It's okay.
He sees it as $1 million opportunity.
It says in there.
It does. But how much of that gross receipts after you build the building does the city of Lovington get?
The gross receipts is just going to depend on the amount of sales through the
front door.
Right.
Which would probably
as well as online
not.
sales through New Mexico as well.
No,
Any
it won't
sales
come
in-
back here. It goes to that place. So if you sell to Albuquerque,
Okay, you're right.
Albuquerque gets it. The only thing we get is what you sell out the front door.
That's right.
Which
The
would be
retail store
minimal.
is definitely not in your interest.
No.
But a warehouse, manufacturing, and distribution center that employs 16 people, obviously in your interest.
I didn't say that wasn't, but I'm just saying, we have to disagree on
One
one part
part,
else.
but the second part disagrees with what your first argument. Yes.
Shannon, we don't need 10 days notice, we need 3 for a meeting.
If this goes back out for a bid again, I will not entertain
Wait, I
a bid.
can't hear Shannon.
This is my last one.
I'm sorry, I can't hear Shannon.
The 10 days is for the RFP, not for the,
Yeah.
not for
Right.
the
Oh,
meeting.
RFP, by law, RFPs have to be advertised a minimum of 10 days.
Okay,
Well, he doesn't make threats.
okay. Patrick,
Yes,
I got a question.
sure.
All right. The action of this commission cannot be to find favor in the way we are right now.
What do you?
Well, I'm saying because it doesn't meet the requirement. And again, cannot may be a little strong, but should not.
I don't think you should. And
Okay,
for the-
I
for the
totally
reasons that
agree.
I told you.
Okay, now then. She's gonna bring to light, or if we put, without the RFP, can we agree we're gonna proceed with his bid, but we can't do it in this meeting?
Well, I think what you could say is not that we're gonna proceed with that bid.
Okay?
I think you could say, here are the things that we asked for. One of them wasn't met. The other part was met very well.
Right.
And so we're happy with that part. And if you go back out, if you give Crystal instruction to go back out for an RFP and say, give us your best shot dollar-wise and attach a plan. If we get that same plan back, that plan is more than satisfactory. And so I think at that point, you'd be looking at, what is $1? Does anybody else bid? We're probably not gonna see that. You may have to look at, Mr. Smith's plan versus Mrs. Jones' plan, if we get two in, but right now you can say, hey, the plan meets that requirement part of the bid, for sure.
Well, I think, to back up a little bit, I mean, this is a learning curve for all of us. I mean, so, it's a learning curve, and another thing is that we lacked information on the last kid, and I think it wasn't the failure of this board, but it was a failure of maybe what was presented to the board every time we have a meeting. You know, we need more documentation on specific, especially something like this. And I think it's just something that I believe that and I don't disagree with you, Patrick, at all what you come for. But sometimes I would be in favor of making an exception because of the bigger picture. The smaller pictures, he didn't meet the bid. The bigger picture is the manufacturer, and if anybody knows business, especially towards manufacturing, which my dad and my family's still involved, that is a big scope.
Absolutely.
For a community our size, because people look, do you have a manufacturer, and all of a sudden you're on the map, and if he's doing wholesales and also manufacture for other companies, it put Lovington on the map, and that's why I just don't want to turn it down, and that's where I stand on saying yes to this, because I look at the bigger picture. I'm not looking at because a lot has to do with the brewing company. When we got that land donated to us and we gave it away for $1. I remember, and it was valued at $50,000. And then there was other property, and then True Brew down the street, the same thing.
Right.
We inherited some property there, and we did the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at everything, and I'm trying to weigh the impact. But I totally agree what you're saying on the bid wise. But the bad part, it was a learning curve for us. But why are we going to make an individual him? Because of us learning something, he's the one losing, and it should have been us being better prepared during our meetings to ensure everybody's represented to the fullest.
This is a dilemma that we've seen a couple of times tonight on the carport and on the RV. And to put it all in perspective, I would always tell you, if I take my kiddo to the doctor and say, my kiddo maybe has the flu, and the doctor says, I'm happy to look at your kiddo, I need to let you know, though, I'm not up with all the current requirements for the state of New Mexico to be a doctor, but I'm happy to look at your kiddo. Some people, I would say, well, I'm going to fix that, I'm going somewhere else. Some people might say, if you don't let that doctor to keep practicing, then Patrick's going to go to WebMD and he might get it all wrong. And so that is always where we're stuck. I can't afford to do the RV park just right. Maybe it never catches on fire, maybe it does. So we're always dealing with that dilemma. And I think it's possible you could say, well, let's call this to vote. And you could, because you have in the past, I've said, go this way, and you say, nope, we're going that way. That's totally fine. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it or feel offended. That happens all the time. I'm giving you my legal opinion, and you're giving me your opinion saying, hey, based on what we knew as a commission, how we bid this, the information that was available, we thought it was a good way to do it. Now we understand it's not. You can decide, let's not follow Pat's advice and put it to bid. See what happens. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. I did my job. You have a job to do now too, is to say, hey, is that what we're gonna do, or are we gonna go ahead and do it? Is it something that you could say is defensible? Yeah, you could look at it and say, the most we've received dollar-wise for this piece of property is $25,000. Now we have $25,000 and a plan. So we're in a better position than we were first, because I think the first bid was 10. The next bid was 25 without a plan, and now we have 25 with a plan. Is that defensible? Sure. But, so it's up to you guys to decide what to do. I mean, I can defend it. It's not optimal, because we will be back in here with another bid where you set a minimum, and it's not gonna happen, just like a carport. So, I don't.
We get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, that's why my hair's white.
No, that's why we get paid the big bucks.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's part of why my hair's white too.
Yeah.
But
Totally understand that.
I don't, that's my advice. Would I like to see it? Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. You look at it just a little bit different than I do. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but put it to bid, or put it to vote, see what happens.
But you know, and the thing about his financing, it's not so much him out of pocket, it's state funded money, so it's like.
It's reimbursement.
It's reimbursement.
So I can have to fund the entire project myself.
He does have to put that out of his pocket. On those retail sales? Yeah, you're absolutely right. But if there's manufacturing, even if you just look at the construction of a new building, that's where we get our bang for the buck.
Yeah.
Right? It's not on
And then
who drives up and down that road, it's the construction project that really does it.
And it looks nice coming into town, you don't see it.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the big picture, not just thinking, I think we need to make an exception.
If you ask me, not as city attorney, what's your opinion? I can't say it'd be the same, but my job is to do exactly what I did, so.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Dunlap,
I have a question.
Yes.
So not best business practice, but because we went under 60,000, do we have to have an RFP?
What do you mean?
Like.
If you were to go back out again?
We're at 40,000 now, so that's under RFP limits. So we just say, hey, for sale. And then call our special meeting within 3 days or whatever. We can't do it until next week, but.
Can we have a bid opening at a special meeting?
I think you would have to go through that process in order to put the public on notice that, hey, this is coming up. Otherwise, what's going to happen is, unless you see that on the agenda, it defeats the whole notice purpose.
But I mean, we have time to.
No, it's still 10 days, it's still 10 days no matter what.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, if there is a solution
That's what I'm just trying to
to
pull it out.
accomplishing this without us having to, bend rules, that's certainly the way to go. Now, if Terrell decides not to rebid, that's up to Terrell. But if he can get an extension and we can go back out and say, okay, based on what you guys know now, give us your best shot on a dollar and give us a good plan, we're probably gonna get a really good plan. I don't know where the dollar amount's gonna come into, but you can factor that in like we did on the other businesses. There was a clawback provision, so it was a little bit different. They've not been unsuccessful as far as what they promised the community, so.
Okay, so.
Nobody said it was gonna be fun to sit up there.
Yeah, no kidding. All right.
No.
Yeah.
They did not. So one thing, Troy Harris did not tell me it would be fun.
Okay.
Do you think you would be okay on the 11th?
What's that?
I know you said your start date was the 5th, but do you think you would be okay on the 11th?
No, I would rather it be today. That's why I'm here. I was the only one that submitted the bid. I understand we didn't make your minimum requirements, but however, no one else has. I'm closer than anyone else. I got a better business plan than anyone else, even with 65,000 that would come in here. So that's my thing is that if you're looking to help the community, which is why you're voted in your positions, this is definitely a position versus trying to get the excess $15,000 out of me or out of
I
somebody.
wasn't even trying to get the extra 15 out of you. I was gonna say 40,000 or best bid by the 11th, but you're.
This is 40,000. This is the best bid.
No, I'm trying to make the wording legal for us.
I'm sorry?
I'm trying to make the wording of the RFP legal for us, and you're
I got you.
giving me an ultimatum,
They gave
which
you an
I
ultimatum. Right,
completely hate.
unfortunately, this is all I got. I mean, we were here last time for the same
It's
thing.
not
My
all you
fault that
got. I
didn't-
just said 40,000 or best offer, can you wait until the 11th? And you
He gave you an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Well,
Which I don't do.
why can't we decide today then? Why do we have to do the same thing at the 11th? Just to get, I mean, I understand you're trying to do the legal thing here, but we did the legal thing. And you're being advised to either go one way or the other.
We did the legal thing and you didn't come in.
We're being advised to have it done correctly. As far as the amount that you're offering, that's fine. We can work with that in the agreement, but it needs to be done correctly, correct?
There might be 20 different ways to do this. If you can re-advertise and have an extension on time, that solves the problem. It may not get you in there as quick as possible, and you may decide not to bid. I don't know, that's up to you. There's other people that could look at it also, but we know what's in the packet that's there. And so I think if you went back out and said, X number of dollars, that's gonna be something you need to think about, and a packet, we'll see what happens, but you could go with that amount, because that seems to be the most that anybody has ever offered. That doesn't mean Terrell's gonna do it again.
Right.
You could go with lower and say, now that I've seen what's in the packet, there's other things that are more important to the community than just those dollars in our pockets. Not pockets, obviously, because it doesn't go to you, but.
In fact, we're not even talking the dollar amount.
Right.
We're talking about having this done correctly.
And you were advised
That's
to
what
attach
we're
your bid
asking.
to your first
Yeah.
bid.
We don't,
Sorry?
dollar amount, that's irrelevant, really, at this point.
So at this point, I would look at it and say,
It was
the
advised
bid
to
hasn't
have-
met the minimum requirements because of the dollar amount. I would say you should not approve it. Can you say, like David said, hey, we're gonna look at other factors and kick that in and let's do it and we'll deal with the outcome later? You could do that. But it's defensible. It wouldn't be the way that I would recommend you go. You can do that. What I'm saying is, if you can do it cleanly and just get an extension and put an RFP back out there that says, we want a packet and we want your best dollar amount. And that way nobody's stuck at a price point, because one packet, somebody could come in and say, I've got a $60 million deal and I'm gonna offer you $5,000. Someone else could come in and say, I've got a $2 million deal and I'm gonna offer you $7. Well, you know the answer to that one.
Or you can have somebody come in and say, I'm gonna give you the 40,000 and no package. I mean,
In that instance, I would say, if it's give me your best dollar amount and a packet, I would say, somebody might come in with 100 and
That's
no
right.
packet. And I would say you should reject that bid
Absolutely.
because it does not comply with the minimum. It's more than what it's for.
So if somebody comes in with, let's say, 20, what was the bid?
25.
$25,000 bid, and a packet, which we would be good on, as long as we worded it correctly, put it out.
The hard part about factoring in the packet is that packet, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
That's a really.
Like to make shit up.
So it's easy to evaluate, but when you add the packet to it, it makes it hard to put just a dollar amount on there. Because somebody's packet may be 10 times better than the other person's because of their business model, what they've already done so far, the history. That has more weight to it than the actual dollar amount. So if you were to go back, if you decide, and we have to vote at one point in time, so everybody can go home, we have to vote. That's really important. But if you decide to go back out, my recommendation would be, we want the best dollar amount from you possible and a packet. That gives you the ultimate flexibility to look at both of those. That would be my recommendation, because it gives you the ability to evaluate it. My guess is, if we get a bid, it might come in at 25. If it came in at a different number, lower, you could still evaluate this packet and say, hey, here's what everything is based on. If it came in at, I'm not gonna give you a number, because that's a number that's gonna come in. But if it came in a number that was less than this, you could still look at it and say, that's that person's best shot, that's what we asked for, and the packet, here's what the benefits are of that packet to everybody's quality of life.
Yeah, and any packet could be, it don't matter, great or small, it's up to the board what packet they approve, it doesn't. I'm just saying, because we've had bids with construction bids, and sometimes we went with the lower, sometimes we went with the higher.
Yes,
So,
based on quality, experience, and what Terrell's telling you is absolutely 100% right. And I would rather see it there than not, but it's, there's two ways to look at it. One way is to say, hey, you're not letting this pass for 15,000. Another way to look at it is to say, this is a big $1 million project, and you're asking me to skip 15, maybe you should have put that 15 in at the start, and then it would be done. I can't say what position he was in to be able to do that or not, or the decision he made, but there's always at least two ways to look at it. So, same thing with my advice, right? Sometimes you follow, sometimes you don't. I don't take offense to it. It's what it is, and we get on to business the next day, so.
All right, we're gonna take a vote.
Sure.
I think
No matter,
Let me just say one thing.
go ahead.
And Mr. Terrell's, Dunlap's defense, I understand your emotions, and I know you're a little high voice, and I understand, I totally agree. And I think that's what, I know some of the commissioners kind of like set back when you got a little loud, but, I mean, it's just, it's in his heart, you know, and he's invested years in it, and he's trying to go to a bigger level, and his emotions are running high tonight. So we have to factor that, and I understand where he's coming from, and I just want to add that to it as well.
My advice is, no matter what the outcome, and I have no idea, I'm gonna put a few stipulations here in just a minute on it. No matter what the outcome, you're gonna have to believe that we're trying to make this work for you, okay?
I will do my best.
Okay, and then that lady down there, we talk nearly daily, okay? I hadn't truly at time didn't realize you were the bidder last time, or we would have probably discussed how we were gonna do it. Again, we take full responsibility that in this instance, probably didn't do it a way that would have made it a little easier. Again, we're gonna take a vote, and you can walk out the door and say, I'm somewhere else no matter what, or you can be happy that we saw it your way and move forward.
It's one day or day one, and either way, tomorrow's one of them.
That's right, exactly.
So I'm just looking forward to your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shannon, what? Hang on.
Hang on just one.
Okay, well, no, I'm going to the vote, so if you got something else to say, then.
Yeah. So if this is a no vote, and we did that the last time, how did we do it the last time, where we go back out for bid and Scotty made the motion. I'm not so much the motion. We deny this bid, but we're gonna go out for bid again.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Can we include that, or how we get, I forgot how we did this last time.
I think what you.
I just don't wanna make a no vote and move on if everybody's gonna make a no.
Yeah, that doesn't help anybody. I think what you need to do is think about, hey, knowing what we know now, do we want to go out to bid and have a minimum on the dollar and a packet? What are those two things? Because that's what we did last. Do we still want to have the packet? My answer would be yes. And do you want to have a minimum? I would say probably not. I would say, put some language in there that says we want you to make your best shot at it, and we will take that dollar amount in consideration with the packet and the impact it has on the community long term.
Well, it's a catch-22.
And you get to state it.
Not easy.
Okay.
You could get it all over with and say, we like you, but we're not following your advice. And then it's done. So,
okay.
You got options.
That's gonna be smart.
But what you state, so after we vote, then we could just
Ask for
direct city manager to.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, just make it
But
clear.
I think it's important to discuss before you vote, kind of what you're gonna tell them to do.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, that's really important. I still haven't heard from everybody.
Right.
Hey, where are we? Where's this thing gonna shake out? Because I'd like to know. That.
All right, if it is a no vote, I'm just gonna start off with this. Then I could care less about the dollar amount, okay? I just want, this is my opinion, and this is how District 3 is looking at it. All right. The packet is, the business plan, what it really is, and commitment of yours up to this point to Lovington is by far more important to me than whether it's $25,000, $10,000, or $40,000, okay? So that's my opinion, and somebody's gonna state we're gonna move forward in, one way or another, with or without a dollar figure?
I'm sorry for interrupting, there has to be a dollar figure. It can't.
Oh, okay, yes, all right, well, without this dollar figure or something, you
Right,
know.
there has to be something.
Yeah.
And I believe at 25 would, because if you put it $1, you're gonna get a lot of people short. You're gonna get.
You're gonna get the world.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
25,
understand. Okay.
if the last two bids come in at 25, that's pretty much stating what we're gonna get on it. So I say we start 25, and, you know, so that's my recommendation.
Okay. Anyone else is welcome to chime in.
So, I feel that we should follow the attorney's advice by voting no, based on the fact that we haven't got our ducks in a row here. We want this, trying to clean up our act and walk straight best we can. I do realize that this is a time crunch and that there's a lot of factors here, but I realize that we have a business plan and I am concerned about the dollar. And I do think there still needs to be a minimum, maybe not as high as what we had, but it doesn't need to be in the basement either. I mean, in other situations where we had property on the north side of town that dry lands and different things in, we had state involvement in different things that caused us to, that's why property was $1 and different, there was a lot more strings attached to that wagon than this wagon.
Right.
So, I mean, basically.
There were clawbacks.
Yeah, there was clawbacks, we get this stuff back, we get all this other stuff. This is, here you go, see you later, buy X amount of dollars, drive off in the used car, and be done.
Okay.
So, but the paperwork needs to be clean, precise, and, you know, I get the time frame, but, you know, we've had struggles before, where we had to get extensions and different things like that. I think we need to make this as clean. We're a little sloppy every once in a while, so we need to clean up our act and walk straight, you know. If we don't get a bid next time, maybe someone bulldoze it down.
I said that. We clear it off and sell it as a lot.
Yep, there you go. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think we call for a vote.
We're trying to get that point. Shannon, okay, before you call for a vote, I'm gonna make one request. I'm gonna exercise, call me last. Call my name last. If it's 2-2, then it's all on me and
come on, you don't like that person.
I'll take the pressure.
Before you guys vote, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. And if you are really in that chair because your community put you there and you really care about the community, then you will vote yes. Regardless of the literature. I mean, if you're going to drop it down to 25,000 for the minimum bid next time, what's the difference in this time? Paperwork.
That's right. And you're just gonna have to trust us.
Probably not.
Well, true.
Can I say something before you guys vote? My name's Daniel, and I own a business here, and I own FOF Foods just down the street. I walked here today, and Terrell here has helped me grow my business a lot. And he's one of the biggest dreamers that I know. Like he's dreaming big, and he wants to be the best in the world. And he's already proved with many barbecue shows that he has some of the best sauces in the nation. He's won awards over and over and over again. I think that he would be great in the community.
And I appreciate that. So
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
All right, anything further?
Did you read the wording of the resolution?
I did, but hang on. Just a minute.
That
All right, okay.
helps it be defensible. Just saying.
Did you ask the counselor if he read it?
He has read it.
I have.
Okay. Does it change anything in your opinion? I know, opinion is not the right word. Does it change your stance?
Answer, please.
Yeah, so my job, obviously, I wasn't elected. I don't live here, but I could tell you that if you do decide to not take my advice, there is at least a defensible position to do so.
Okay, see, I like that. Very well done, sir.
I think he stated that more than once this time. Yeah, that's about the third time he's stated this.
No, that's the first time he's actually said it's defensible.
No, I had, when we were having our interaction, yeah, it's defensible, and I can see what your position is, but.
All right. Are you ready, Ms. Shannon?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Commissioner White?
I knew you were going to call me first.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so before I vote, I did not appreciate your Facebook post today because you did not give us all the information you possibly could have. We're still young and we still have a lot to learn in this life, Terrell, and business. I don't know. You were advised to attach your packet to your first bid, which we could have accommodated you better at this bid. No?
It's okay, I'll just sit here so I can hear you.
Okay. But on the other hand, I'm really big on small government, and I think if government just gets out of the way, people can make it. And we're below the procurement rate, and I'm gonna give you a yes.
Thank you.
But not because of the ultimatum that you've given me. It's just simply because I like to keep us kids here at home that grew up here and that we need it.
And I appreciate that. My proposal was not in the last bid due to my own problem. I got excited, turned it in, but here's the problem, it wasn't required either.
No, just say you were advised.
Yeah,
So
I
just
appreciate that.
from here on in the, I know hindsight's 20/20.
Okay, Commissioner White?
Yes.
But give me a yes.
Commissioner Gandy?
No.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe?
No.
I know where this is going.
You said
But I asked for it. You asked for it.
Mayor Roberts?
I know. You're gonna have to give me just a minute on this one.
You know you can lean over to the yes. And you'll be the hero.
No.
You said it was defensible.
Oh, I promise you, it's all in there. All right. We get a little bit before I go into this. I was in your position one time. I sat out there and I had a bid before this commission, not this commission, but many years ago. And I was denied. I was the only bidder. I made the proposal. I brought the whole process to light and then was denied. And I was angry. And I didn't bid the next time because I was like, why do it? All right, so the difference today, and I'm gonna make this brief, is I wore this for a reason. I sit on that board. And I know how important that this is. But I also know that if this group holds this city literally in their hands, and if we screw up, we set precedences for everything else. All right? And I was trying to convince you that no matter what happens here, we're gonna help you is get there, okay? And so, based on that, you're gonna have to believe that her and myself and everybody else here is gonna help you get your business. And for that reason, and if you don't, I'm sorry. You can make the choices that you make, just like I did that time. And there are other opportunities. And for that reason, I'm gonna say no, because I've got to believe in him. All right? So, no, I have to say no. And I hope that as soon as we can get you done, that you can leave this bid or whatever. I hope that it's here, because we're gonna make it happen. She's gonna make it happen, and we're gonna make sure. And I can make the call tomorrow to help her get your extension. So for that, I'm sorry. I welcome you back, and we move on.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Can we discuss about going out to bid again?
Yes. Can we I'd like to get exact wording so we're all on the same page, because we will put this RFQ together tomorrow.
Ask that one.
As I understood it, we were at highest dollar amount bid with a business plan and economic impact study.
Or do we need to say 40,000 or best offer?
No.
No.
I think you could, rather than.
You did last time, as you guys said it
We
at
didn't
40.
say,
and
or
that's
best
what
offer.
happened.
The numbers.
25, like we said, 25 is what we received the last two times, so that's pretty much the, what
You
those
you could do a number of things. One, like always, do nothing, but that's not what we need to do. You could put it at, you could say 25 is the minimum, and a business plan, that's an option. Maybe we'll get a bid at 25, maybe we won't, I don't know. But the other thing, though, is you could say, we need a monetary bid that is like commensurate with, and is also factored in by the plan that's attached. We need a plan, and we need a bid. And that plan could be $1,000, and you factor in the dollar amount and the plan. Or the dollar amount could be 10,000, and you factor in that 10,000 and the plan. That gives you a lot of flexibility, but it also is, the lower you go on that dollar amount, the more we're gonna have to be able to see on the plan, and for you to be able to say, and maybe, you know, we can ask other experts' advice. We could say, okay, here's the bids, here's the plans, let's take a look at them. In the discussion portion of the meeting, what does Evelyn think about this plan and the applicant? And what do the professionals think about how this should get accomplished?
So I just want to weigh in just real quickly, is that I just completed 6 days of procurement class and RFP writing. We need to ensure that we write it as a request for proposals, not a request for bids.
Right.
If we do write it as a request for bids, we must take the lowest responsive bid. We cannot factor in the evaluation, so we need to make sure that we do write it as a request for proposals. And I will be glad to assist Melissa or Crystal tomorrow if they'd like any assistance on making sure that we have a good packet to get this to the commission next time. We have some really tight time frames where we're going to have to get an evaluation committee. We're going to have to write an evaluation report, but we can get it done to present to the committee for the next meeting. So.
I would say.
Is Evelyn, what kind of extension are you thinking, like 5 days, 60 days?
Well, whenever you ask for an extension, and it's a PPA extension, participation agreement, so it'd have to go at the state level, have them re-sign it and bring it back. It's gonna be 20, maybe 30 days.
Okay, at a minimum or maximum?
Maximum.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a process. They have a process, and it's longer than yours.
Sure.
Okay.
minimum bid of 20, plus the proposal.
Leslie just said you can't do it.
Well, gotta be
Well,
request.
request for the RFP.
RFP.
So, go with that.
We're setting a minimum bid of 20.
Okay.
Plus a business plan, plus an economic impact study.
Yeah, we're.
Okay, I would get with Leslie and make, like,
I'll get with her on how to write it, but I want to know your parameters.
well, I know, but I mean, like, the business impact, there's things that,
And takes forever to write.
let's just say somebody else were to turn in a bid. Okay, now if we want to structure this where he's pretty much the only one that can meet it, then you're gonna, you know what he's got and you're gonna write it to that.
But we're adding more and more requirements from day one that we started. Now we're asking for impact study, so he's gonna have to go out, him or whoever is gonna have to go out. And each time we're going out for bid, we're going up, we're not going.
Up on requirements, down on prices,
Yeah,
is what we've
yes.
done, yes.
So that's what I'm saying, we just need to stick with what we got. We got 25 coming in both bids, just 25
So you want to make
polls.
the minimum bid 25,000?
Yeah, I mean, I
just
don't want to
need a-
lose
I
5.
need a number. We all agree on the economic impact study and the business plan.
That's what was in there already.
It was, impact was already in there, Crystal.
It said,
For this last
a
one.
plan or economic, it said a business plan or an economic, and he provided both.
And you have an expert right back
Right
there,
there.
just
Okay.
volunteered her time to help you.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
think we need to change all the wording in the RFP.
Exactly, let's not make this
Except for
harder
we need
than it
to
is.
set that, last time you guys had told us to set it at 40.
40. Then that's what
And that's what's
caused all this
wrong.
problem this time. So
Well, yeah,
So it can be no number.
So last time, if we had said 40 or best offer, it would have worked, correct?
Hypothetically,
What
yes.
about any bid would be entertained?
well, if you put our best,
Because I'll remind the commission, the first time we put no minimum, we only got one bidder.
I know, I'm aware, and had we taken that bid, we wouldn't be in this predicament right now.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we would have been, the city would have been any better down the road.
Yes, sir.
It just means that somebody else would own a piece of vacant property that they were gonna have to pour a bunch of money into. That's so.
I just don't think we're gonna get a whole deluge of.
Oh, I don't either. I agree with you.
Why don't you ask our resident expert, given everything that you've said and discussed, you know, how she might put that to you.
That's why I want her involved.
I mean, right now.
It's all on you. Oh, right now?
Now, yeah.
All right.
Because I think
It
it.
needs to be ready to go for
Ms.
safety.
Bolver,
It
do
gets
you
out
want
there
to,
And you know what this thing is gonna work for, and
do you want to state it the way you feel it should be stated?
Well, I feel if we go out for RFP and we're asking for a business plan, I think that would suffice if you wanted to do a dollar amount plus the business plan.
there you go.
I don't think we need an economic impact study. I don't think we need to, we can do it on general terms. We can do a evaluation committee of 3. There's certain guidelines. We can put that in on what we're going to grade on. We can do that if we go out. I don't know what the first day is for the bid.
If it's put in like
It's got to be tomorrow.
Thursday, say it hits the paper on Thursday,
It's not
clear,
tomorrow.
they have to have it.
Tomorrow by
morning
10.
By 10, they have to have that ad ready to go.
But that's
So
just the
that's
app.
just the ad, yeah. and
Yeah,
then we can
that's
get- So what I would suggest is that we just do general terms on what we're looking for as far as the RFP and leave it up to the evaluation committee to make the recommendation for the commission.
So we could make that recommendation for, it could be on March 10th agenda, like we did today.
Right, it could be on the next
Today,
agenda. Melissa, do you agree with that timeline?
Yes.
Okay.
Can't go to the meeting because it doesn't have Thursday.
They believe it, so they can get it and have it on our next commission meeting.
Yeah. We're just saying.
Okay. All right, are we clear? As mud, right? Okay. All right.
I just want to clarify, no minimum bid?
No, I think we put a minimum bid, so
Ultimately, I'm responsible for this. I'm responsible for what goes out the door.
25?
25.
25 and a business plan.
Yep.
Okay, that's all.
And if we have no bidders, then we'll throw the papers up in the air and I guess we'll start
I'll
again.
pick up the chain.
We'll worry about it another year.
That's right,
25,000 and a
exactly.
business plan.
All right.
Wait till somebody else.
Mr. Handy?
Where we at? All right, let's
Move
move
on.
forward. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, for another misery. Resolution 2025-017, approve waste management contract.
Second.
We have a motion, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm
Let
sorry.
me get it out there and then
Yeah.
have a motion in a second. Discussion, Mr. Murray.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I bring before you this action item regarding the renewal of the waste management contract for solid waste services for the city of Lovington. The waste management contract, which is in your packets, was signed on January 13th, 2020, and specifies the services to be delivered. Under the terms of the contract, if you check out page 4, item 2, the contract term calls for an automatic contract extension of 5 years to occur on January 31st, 2025. So that automatic renewal date has passed unless either party gives 180 days advance written notice of intention to terminate the agreement. Thus, the automatic extension was already in the contract and has happened. However, the proposed amendment, which is our action item this evening, serves to memorialize the existence of the start of this new term. The new term would go on until January 31st of 2030. And the amendment is here just to memorialize the fact that we've rolled over the contract. And actually, Mr. Dan Darnell is here tonight from Waste Management if you had any more specific questions.
Question? I hear none, and I'm sure Mr. Darnell right now is probably, don't call me up. Just kidding, sir.
He likes to.
Okay, we have no questions, no further discussion. Shannon?
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mr. Trujillo,
Yes.
Mr. White,
Yes.
Mr. Gandy.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-018, approve library roof bids.
Second.
We have motion second. Approve the consideration of this resolution. Wait. Whoa, wait.
She's going to tell you about them, so you don't have to.
Well, we're,
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we had numerous bids for the library roof. We put it out as a request for bid. The lowest responsible and responsive bid was Care Roofing for $209,000. We had the scope of work as very general, and I've learned a lot more about roofs since then. This does not address HVAC issues, it does not address plumbing issues, it does not address the water that's coming down the roofs and stuff, which all really needs to be repaired. It looks like we may have 20,000 after the roof is repaired to go on to additional repairs. Melissa and I, since she's the chief procurement officer, we discussed it. We had an evaluation committee, and we were suggesting that you could either approve Care Roofing for the roof repair, or we could expand the scope of work. You would reject all the bids, expand the scope of work, go back out for bid, including the necessary repairs that need to be done with the library roof, because at that time they could actually take care of some of the electrical, plumbing, HVAC issues at the same time that they're taking care of the roof. or you can just approve on the 209. On contracting, on construction projects, we do pay New Mexico GRT 7%. They do pay that into the Lovington tax base. So, any questions?
Yes. Okay, if we were to say no, and we decide to bundle it, then has there been a discussion with city manager of how, because it's gonna come in more than our amount. I don't know how much, and I don't even know what the extent of all of the additions would be. And we discussed how we're going to pay for the addition.
So we're estimating another 125 to 150,000, 350,000 for the complete project. I have not discussed it with the city manager, David, on how we're going to pay it. It would have to be looked at as far as a budgetary item or a capital improvements project for FY26. The state is in the middle of legislative session. This project must be completed by June 30th, FY26, so we're in good shape. We are still in good shape. If we claw it back and redo the bid and send it back out, we're still okay. But we are probably not in a position to get more funding with capital outlay for this project.
And with all these tariffs coming, I guarantee you the price can go up quick.
The price is high on the roofs, yes. Yes, but there is some other things that need to be addressed on that roof and at the library, so. And I'm sure the city manager can tell you more about the shape of the library.
In terms of,
Just
well,
the repairs.
there's the leakage in the south wall. I think 3 of the 7 HVACs on the roof have to be replaced. We've done a lot of work in terms of plumbing, but the roof is, we can't do interior repairs if the roof's still leaking. Changing out the carpet and everything else and the ceiling tiles, so.
Is there anything that's directly related that has to happen while the roof is being done? HVAC, all of that can be done after the new roof is on.
Right.
Is there any, I realize we have some electrical issues, but is there anything from prohibiting us from moving forward with the roof that can bite us later on by not having access?
Not to my knowledge, sir, no.
Okay.
With this, you were saying about the drains in the wall and that, with this, doing this project here, would that take care of that, or would that not?
I'll defer to Leslie on that. She's
Not necessarily. What I would suggest if we do decide to go back, if we do decide to reject and go back out, is to contract for actual plans and engineers, which would probably be about 15,000. We can use that under the grant and then address everything that we need to address with the library roof. It's becoming, like all projects, it's becoming a little bit more complicated than just replacing a roof. And since we went out for bid, we do have to take the lowest general roofing repair bid.
So through state contracting, when you get your permit to do a roof, if it's a commercial building roof, it has to have engineered plans with it.
Yes.
They can't pull a permit without that. So that contractor has to have that in that price.
Yes, but what I'm suggesting is not just the roof engineered, is the whole
Scope.
Yes, the whole scope of, expanding the scope of work for the other issues that are with the library. seen the library lately, they still have the plastic on the inside, and inside looks pretty okay, but their infrastructure is definitely aging.
But that's all roof related.
I believe most of it's roof related.
Well, even if you were going to address the drains going down on the wall, you would have to basically deny this one because that's not in there.
Right.
And I'm just thinking that if you got the roof fixed, minus the electrical, minus the HVAC, what would it cost total just to do the roof and just the roof? That there was no water running down in them drains or whatever. I don't know, I've never been up there, so I don't know what it would entail to plug them drains. But basically what we'd have to do is, even just to do the roof itself, we'd have to deny this because it wouldn't be in the scope of work that was put out.
Yeah, and I mean, like the conversations that have been going on this evening, procurement is difficult. RFPs are difficult. We're newly minted here, and we're learning as we go, and we're learning that sometimes it's best maybe to stop, restart over again. So that's why I just have the suggestions on either way you guys want to go.
Questions? Can you give me, just a minute, can you give me a little bit of a turnaround time on getting this back in front of us? Because you're gonna have to have somebody look at several of these issues.
Correct. So you do have some options on getting a person, an engineer, a structural engineer over there to take a look at it and start.
And you can pay that out of this, because you said you have a little bit of.
The capital outlay does include plans.
Plans.
Mhm. Some of the capital outlays that I've read through from the city do not include planning, which has been surprising, but this one does include planning. We're looking at probably 4 to 8 weeks on the engineered plans, the engineer, the design and development. Then I can bring that up and to the commission just for the information. Then usually for RFPs or bids, construction through the state of New Mexico for government requires 30 days to allow the contractors enough time to source their supply. So we're looking at, that would be longer than the 10 days minimum. We would do at least 21 to 30 days to allow them enough time to get their quotes in, their proposals.
Like on Jackson, I had to do 21 days.
That's material.
Too short a time for construction.
State of New Mexico. Texas is.
And then, of course, we would probably allocate, I have to talk to the city manager and allocate the funding going into FY26, which would be July 1st, right?
Okay. Any further questions? Thank you. All right, Ms. Shannon.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
We didn't.
Well, you know what, I was thinking,
Yeah.
did you want to table this till the next meeting, or do you think?
We didn't even.
I don't know.
Well, effectively, we are, if we vote no, we are tabling it.
Okay, we vote that, okay, but
If we vote, yeah, I mean, if, whatever the vote is, it will determine how we proceed.
And you can't vote yes because you don't have a contractor to say yes to their bid. You weren't given that information.
Oh, that's right, we gotta amend that. Sorry, I jumped ahead. All right. So
We weren't giving the bids in the amounts.
Right,
Was I
so
not listening?
it would have to, we would, if your new amended, whatever, would have to say,
There's no list.
well, no, CARE. It'd have to go to CARE because they were the lowest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it would have to go to CARE or whatever it is, roofing or
So it
whatever.
doesn't have any of that on mine.
Because it's a bid.
I
Yeah, I
know.
don't have it either.
Sorry.
Okay, CARE roofing would be the one that you award the bid to.
Oh, that's right.
So I'd have to amend my motion to include care.
Approve the library bid to, whatever, to CARE roofing, yes.
And I'd like to amend my motion for the approved library roof bids for care roofing.
Second.
Okay. Motion second for approval of this resolution. Now,
Commissioner Trujillo,
No.
Commissioner White,
No.
Mayor Roberts,
no.
Commissioner Gandy.
I want to say yes, but no.
Say yes. It doesn't matter.
No.
Okay.
Give me a second, I gotta get back on the page.
I know. 19 is where we're at.
No, I just,
Like
I'm
I
lost in
turned
the
it upside down or something.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2025-019, authorizing the submittal of applications for the 2026-2027 New Mexico Departments, misspelled, of Transportation, NMDT, Transportation Project Fund, TPF.
Second.
Motion second for consideration of this resolution. Ms. Ball.
Yeah, so I'm submitting to the NMDOT for the TPF, which is the Transportation Project Funding Grant. This is to do road rehabilitation, which at the price point we looked at for the estimate to get the grant was mill and fill. East Harrison from Main to Love, East Jackson from Main to Eddy, North 6th Street from Jefferson to Adams, East Avenue C from Main to East. The rest of the Avenue C there was not in that bad a shape, it just needs a micro seal. West Avenue I from 2nd to 9th Street, and McAllister Drive from Bryan Urlacher to Main Street. The grant amount is, the total cost of the project is $1,891,150.10. And on the TPF, that is a 95 and 5% match, so our 5% would be $94,557.51. And yeah, it would be paid, yeah, because I don't know that I get that grant until November of next year. So, but we would budget this year to have that money in there.
Okay.
And I did speak to manager finance. about it.
Finance.
Any other questions?
Any questions? All right. Roll the vote. Ms. Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yep.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for 2025-020, support the submission of the fiscal year 2026 Local Government Road Fund Cooperative Program.
Second.
Okay. Motion second for consideration of this resolution. Ms. Ball.
All right, so the LGRF is, again, through NMDOT and the state transportation service. It's a cooperative agreement. I've looked at doing, these jobs are usually, they don't grant large amounts. The TPF is usually a $2 million project you can bid up to, but these next two grants are, very small amounts. They don't give out much more than about $500,000 to each entity. So I chose North 5th Street from Jefferson to Central. The road is in really bad shape. It needs a lot of help. So that's why I picked that street. The LGRF is a 75, it is a 75-25 match. So on that one, what's that? Yeah. The total project is, let me find my right paper.
552-911-80.
Yeah, that's the total.
Oh, wait a minute, no, I jumped, I went to the next one, I'm so sorry.
$389,405.10 is the total. The transportation, the state would pay the $292.53.82. We would pay $97,351.28.
Any questions? Shannon?
Commissioner Rhodes,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for Resolution 2025-021, approval of submission of local federal road fund municipal arterial program for the fiscal year 2026.
Second.
Yeah, motion second. Consideration of this resolution. Mrs. Ball?
Yeah, so this is again another DOT grant. This is the MAP grant. This is usually a grant we do for just design because it's even a lower amount of money than the other one. But this one I'm putting for at East Avenue R. East Avenue R, we know, needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
So this project would be $552,911.80. It is a 75/25, so our share would be $138,227.95.
Okay.
The
Question?
map is the only one that I would be able to probably, usually it's midsummer when I get notified of it, but it's still in next year's budgeting for the match.
Well, of all of them, I hope we get this one. 'Cause that road is terrible.
That's why I put that road in this one, because this is my best chance to get that road.
Okay, all right, good job.
I don't have a question, Rob,
Go ahead.
but I'm gonna make a comment. It's getting harder and harder for me to agree to this stuff when I don't even know what the budget is. I don't have any information in front of me to be able to make an accurate decision, educated decision. We're just saying yes. It's like we're driving a car with our eyes closed. And I'm getting tired of it. I'm really getting tired of not having the information that I've been asking for, that I need, because this is just a coin toss. Hopefully the funding's there. Should be there, but I need figures. I'm a numbers guy. If I don't have that, it's getting harder and harder for me to make these decisions. I don't want to slow down progress. I don't want to. But comes a point, I'm gonna have to say no, because I'm getting to the point where it's harder and harder for me to make decisions without having that.
I totally agree. The only thing that I can say to this particular process is we apply, we don't have to take them.
Right.
So now, to your point, we're going to enter into a budget season.
Yep.
And we're going to put these in there, but we may have to pull some of them out. And so we're not spending the money and we're not even really allocating the money.
Right.
And as long as we understand that, and it's not an automatic that if we get it, we're headed down that road, so I think.
And I do understand. I said it's just about time that we start getting figures in front of us. And I think it's a good time to put that out.
3 years, I understand.
Good time to put that out, that maybe we can start seeing that. Because I understand graphs and everything, they're good to look at and that, I need figures. I need figures.
I understand.
This is grant season time for all the NMDOT stuff. And this is why they give out the grants, because they're just getting their allocations to give these grants out. So as soon as they get done with their sessions, they have their meetings, and then we know if we can even, but my time to turn it in is before the state even knows.
And I
if they
understand,
have some
Crystal, I'm
money,
not
so.
directing this at you, I'm directing this at a overall.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, I do.
I'm good.
Anything further? Shannon?
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
I'm sorry, I was asleep, yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion second to pay the bills. And I would just say, for the time being, let's just, I mean, I don't mean this for very long, but let's take the finance report, because we're probably not gonna have one until we get a little further down the road, but we would love to, at the first opportunity, to have a finance report.
Please. I could try to make you something for next time, but I don't know if it's gonna be what you want.
Anything!
I've been looking at some, I've been looking at some municipalities.
Sure.
I've been looking at some municipalities, and I can bring some information in and show it to you, to kind of get a basic idea, because I think that might be a problem that we've had before, is that maybe the person that was in that position, in that seat, we didn't explain what we were looking for, and then when they came in and we were asking for stuff, it's like, we didn't know you wanted that. So, and I think that'd be beneficial for all the commissioners, if they have stuff that they would want the person in that seat to do, is that we need to put that out there so they can have a better understanding of it.
And if I just may add on a note of finance to the commissioners, Ed Fierro's back in this week for the full week. He met with me today, we need to get done October, November, and December bank reconciliations, so we can provide those figures to Michael Steininger for our second quarter DFA report, so that's what he's concentrating along with the audit operation.
Right. I have no.
Oh, really? Well, I was Serves LLC, I know we just received all of those, but ouch. Man, it kept a lot.
It was over $1 million.
I know,
Yeah.
All right.
This is some of the metal off the carport, is that what it is?
Ms. Shannon, I think we are ready.
okay, Mayor Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yeah.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
That the